I'm just thinking of your video thing on it right now in my head and your reaction. You just realise with the way he just said.
I don't think because a lot of times I used to live in Scotland for 10 years, so like my accent, especially for fighters that don't for English and different language, they really confused my accent. I can't tell where it's from, so I have to speak really slowly. And I was like, I was like, honestly, what I said. I tried to make it clear I was saying it with some, but I think you might have just got us like the Southeast guy. As soon as you said that, I knew I was like, I swear. At least you were there.
Don't ever do that to one guy.
It's easy.
It's like the dude who knocked over your camera at 269 like you kept very, very composed.
Well, it's because he didn't break anything. If he had actually done it, I would have been lost it.
Was here.
I thought it was going to be Cyril Garner talking about how good looking it is.
And everybody would just be like, pull out.
Yeah.
Look, he doesn't look well. Someone test that man.
I don't know.
He is a handsome man.
Exactly, basically. That's everyone's reaction. It's better than no fight.
And then we should just move on to the...
I think it's all good now. I think we're in the clear.
I hope so. It's not like he would like this as well. It's a great fight. Well, he was kind of...
Just think of how it's going to be. He's always fast in case.
I wonder what weight you do the same weight when it's more than
Yeah.
It's a risk to take to the weight.
What you do is
It's not the biggest.
I really don't know. It's because this is the first event of years. There's just probably so many applications.
Yeah.
Which I understand.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Yeah. That's pretty much it.
Depends. I think it depends what you're like. I don't know, because I don't know the dates. For example, they come in media section and half. So like half the people would be in media 10, which is like this. So like this is like on the screen, yeah. But it just depends. I don't know. It's like you think most people like I guess it depends. Because like a lot of people get straight into content. They don't even
Oh, yeah.
engage like so like they'll it depends how big the section don't. Yeah, it's hard to know yet. It's kind of what like you've got forms yet.
I think he's probably arguably our most well-rounded race. Second to Leon, probably, I'd say.
I'm not sure. So where were you in this one? We'll see until he tilts his head to the right, to the left, and he will probably talk to you. Here we go.
No, of course, yeah.
It doesn't pack the ball.
Oh, yeah. Sadly for him, the last measurement is that's still like the right yeah.
Yes, that's you.
I'm not too quiet. I think maybe I'm a bit. Yeah.
Don't worry. It usually boosts as well.
Yeah, like the media thing. Yeah. Just like overlooking. It's not like cage fights, like overlooking stuff.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's the way that
Oh yeah, I was gonna Oh yeah, I know. That was like that was like what if no one was that?
Yeah, he would have brought.
Yeah, I know. That was kind of like I can't see people like half the place.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I can't remember. Obviously, that was because he actually clarified.
And he fought before, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I just can't remember the first one. Jordan was where from I went to uni, so like that's probably the stuff. You still at uni? You still at uni?
I graduated when I was 22.
Oh,
5 years ago.
again, I look at you like
Yeah, I studied economics. Did you live there? I literally went there. Did my studies before. Because it's just so close to my house. I had a part-time job. So I was at uni. Many hours of contract.
When you start coming
2 years, nearly 2 years. 2 years.
I'm sorry. Like, obviously, I did my own job. Like 2015. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, for me, I was like,
No, that,
yeah.
wait, hold on. That's
Yeah, I know, yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, that's it.
Maybe it's just the interest of it. But like, I was with the website for like, I was with the website when I was like 17. Like, the first time I was that was on still, like, when I was at uni. Yeah, just right, like 6 7 hours a week. Yeah, literally, I was using like, even like this job.
it's on the I have a zero work even
Really? It is hard. Like, well, yeah. Yeah, no, yeah, I mean, yeah, it is. Like, you went this contract, like, it's quite simple. You won't make most of it, you know, try and go back and try and do too much. Realise, like, you get exactly. Yeah, I did speak to this year. No, I don't know. I just say,
because it's so early. I wonder if people went home.
maybe. I don't know, yeah. I got training at 7, so. But I spoke to him in Vegas and he said he would be happy. So they're probably going to fight.
It's really sad that Dan is fighting on this because
I know.
he's such a lovely guy.
Yeah.
I want him to be.
Yeah, it's annoying. It's like a annoying matchup. It's like Ferguson trying like no one really wants to see him lose.
Yes, yeah. I feel just sad for him.
Yeah, I know, mate. But if he wins, like, I mean, it's almost better for him to win than it is for Charles to win because like Charles loses, it's fine. Like you can't really.
Having said that, Channel will be 3 in a row.
Yeah, true. He will be.
One cheese and Alfred is 3.
Yeah. But the thing is, Charlie, even if he's really like Charlie's already.
Yeah, and the thing with Channel is they like
Yeah, Charlie. Like his fights.
they're gonna later be a job for us.
Oh yeah, he's good at it.
Yeah, who's next?
Yeah, very good. Very good. The best case scenario for everyone would be battle fight and then same games because then it means like China stops us. The worst case scenario would be like a good second. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
He's so peak.
Yeah, I know.
Why does he keep fighting?
Yeah,
It's crap.
I know.
You would think like
Yeah, just fire mentality, I guess. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's kind of like the whole like McGregor fight. I think the best fight is I get it. They were actually going to make it like the funnest fight to make is Masvidal. Because like all the other lightweight fights, you just think you're going to be like when you land that, like he's not going to get taken down. I mean, he could get knocked out by Masvidal. Oh yeah. Just MMA boxing, good shit. Like, I mean, it's kind of there's only 2 sports I really care about. I'm a football fan, but like, I am. But being a Spurs fan, you can't really do football. Like, we're just so bad. I used to go to all the games, and now it's just like because we're just so cheap. I like pro MMA.
I've become less of a fan in
Yeah,
the last
yeah.
like few years. In fact, the night that really pissed me off was the Triple G.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That was the night I was
I know. I hate that boxing because you do get bad decisions out of it, but like not as frequent as boxing.
That Wellington
Yeah.
and Volkov.
I know. So every boxing like major fight is some even if a fighter wins as a sport, it's like what? Yeah, exactly. And it just puts you off. You get that in MMA rarely, like maybe once a year.
And it's not because of like
It is because the fight, whatever.
I was gonna say it's not because of correct.
Yeah. Oh yeah, boxing.
The judges.
Yeah, judges. Yes, especially when
Boxing, you can tell that there's
Yeah.
something like
And like, yeah, that's the thing. Like sometimes they go through a weird stay in America and the judges crap. So like, but you know why it is.
I know this is just YouTube boxing. I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah.
He's got
Yeah,
it's quite clear.
Oh yeah, of course. That's probably not really happening. That's like for example, it's all the
Chances he does it.
they probably won't return it. They'll just give them like it doesn't really make it.
Yeah, makes him mad.
Yeah, but that's just like it's pointless.
That moment is gone.
I know, innit?
He should just overturn it. Yeah, do you know what? It's fine.
I know. But then like,
If they should give a fight, give it to 100 judges.
yeah.
Judge the fight. So
Yeah, because I don't think it will change.
it's so frustrating because he can never get that option.
Yeah, I know.
ever
Yeah,
again.
I know.
That moment, because he's the other guy's moving up as well. Right?
Oh, Taylor, yeah, he's
He's
moving
got
up.
to fight that weight.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. You should vacate the belt. Yeah, it's crap. That's why again, I like boxing, but like I don't. I'm strictly pretty much MMA. So I'm with them there at rehab. There's only 3 of us.
than 3 weeks before in grappling tournaments and just turn up to fights, like professional fights, but not professional, you know. So, but this is the first time I've done everything properly. And I was actually in 2016 here in same hotel. My friend Rustam Khabilov was fighting in UFC London. So I was 6 years later, I'm here on the same card, you know.
What does this mean to the people in Wigan, Mo? Like, I mean, you and Tom from Wigan, and two of the most talked about fighters in the lead up to this. Have you noticed the buzz? Have you heard from people in the city? Like, I mean, is it creating a big stir?
Yeah, in my school, you know, I went to my school actually, and a lot of people actually tune in and watch. And also I train in Liverpool, like in the mornings and nighttime. I train in Manchester, and like all the Northwest, I have like huge support, and it's great to get people behind this sport, you know.
Can you tell us about your relationship with Aspinall's father? What he meant to you on your road to being a professional MMA fighter?
Andy Aspinall, to be honest, my first BJJ coach. Like I trained with him about 5 years since I was like kid, and Tom actually was teaching us on kids classes. You know, I used to do it kids class, and then I go to adults class because I was like crazy kid doing like Thai boxing and everything, all classes in a row, in same day. And Andy, when I left that gym, Andy always stay in touch with me, and humble family. I wish only best to Tom and his family.
Does this feel like the biggest moment? I mean, you've been under the spotlight since you were a kid, and now you're in your UFC debut, but this one feels very big. You've got the eyes of the mixed martial arts world on you. Like, I mean, is the pressure getting to you at all ahead of this one? Has it taken on a new meaning ahead of your UFC debut?
To be honest, like pressure-wise, I think I've gone past this since my amateur debut. Like it's always been like this. Like media, traveling around the world. I think I visited most countries. I went even fought in Australia on my own without coaches. So it's it's not that kind of. The most pressure is in the camp to not get injured and make weight to be professional. But this is like this is part of the job I have to do. No pressure at all, you know.
Mo down here. Has this been everything that you've envisaged from the get go so far? Fight week so far.
What do you mean?
I mean, has fight week played out like as you imagined, well, as you manifested and imagined, however long ago before you thought, right, I'm going to get into the UFC?
Yes, it worked out perfectly. Since I did my professional debut, I said in 2022 I want to be on UFC London, and all my team knows this. I said, and they're like, let's do it. Depends how many fights we're gonna get in COVID times. And I remember like for the debut in Sweden, I couldn't fly, so I have to fly to like some European country and then get a 9 hours bus to my debut, you know, because I know it's COVID times, but I need to get some wins in professional game to get on UFC.
And how does it feel to be kicking off the UFC's return to London? I mean, I think it's a sign of the UFC's faith and what's the word I'm looking for, and they're noticing of the stock that you have amongst mixed martial arts fans. They're putting you in the first fight of the night.
UFC knows, you know. UFC knows it's not about your record and stuff like this. You're based in UK. It's about your charisma, and you sell the fight, the views, the everything, you know. And when I put the finish on that night, UFC will give me top 15 guys.
Go on,
Cheers, man. And I know it's early days and you've actually yet to step into the octagon, but is the goal still to become the youngest UFC champion?
Yes, 100%, and I believe I can. That's why this opponent is good to get me like maybe top 15 guys, even if it's not top 15. But instead of fighting, like I said before, just like debut guys and who is on losing streak, better to fight like good name to get on the top.
Oh, she's in front of you. I'm curious. I know you came to this country at the age of 12, I believe. When did you make the decision that you wanted to represent Britain and not Russia?
Since I came here, you know, like the way UK treated me, like from the refugee camp all the way till like I got my documents. the way they treated me. I came here with a pair of jeans and t-shirt, you know. So I always said I'm gonna represent this country, don't matter what they give me the passport or not. And I was competing in world championships without actually passport, and I had the choice to compete other country.
And I believe you said in 2017 you were almost deported back to Russia, and then after being signed for the UFC, you also got your British citizenship. So how crazy is it looking like back 5 years, and now you're a British citizen, you can travel, and you're on a UFC London card?
Yes, in 2017 we got refused with the case, and my solicitor helped me a lot. You know, it was a difficult time for me. It was like, listen, I live here 5 years, and now they want to send me back. You know, what's this? Is this fair life? You know, or what? And I want to be some name. That's how I got motivated. I want to be some different refugee than others, so they treat me differently. You know, so I can let the home office know that any refugee can be great example for the rest of the people who is coming here, and not just claiming like benefits and sitting at home. You know, so I want to be one of the great example for the government also.
And finally, obviously you said you want to be a champion by the end of 2023, I believe. Have you looked at the top two of the division, the likes of Brandon Moreno and Davison Figueiredo, and just what your thoughts are those fighters?
Yes, they're all good, but I watch all of them. You know, I watch like recent fight Moreno Figueiredo. Like Figueiredo, Moreno, I can beat with my wrestling. Figueiredo, I can stand with him all day. Is at that stage is nothing like at the professional level stage of the fighter. It's not like they have some crazy like skills, you know, that you don't know. You're going there, you know, he's gonna hit 1-2 low kick, takedown. So you just have to be mentally ready, you know, sharp, have good training camp without having some headache, you know. And then if you go in, you can compete against anybody top in the world. So I don't see anybody special in that division.
Thank you.
Mohammed at the back, right here. You, all good. We see a lot of fighters turn pro these days after 1 or 2 amateur fights. You have over 20 amateur wins. You stuck with it for a long time. I'm just curious, how well prepared do you feel you are because of that with these big fights now? And what made you stick around in the amateurs as long as you did?
I was gonna stay a little bit more amateur to become like 3-time world champion, make a history, but the COVID happened. So why amateur career is good? It's exactly same as UFC backstage. You got like media, you got weigh-ins, you have to make weight. Also, if you get knocked down, you're not competing next day. You know what I mean? Like injury free, making weight every day. If you don't make weight, you're out. You know, so it's it gets you prepared for the professional level, and showing up to the cage every day after fighting like decision fights against number one from each country, like Russians, like Americans, like around the world. Kazakhstan is like Bahrain. You know, there's like so many good countries competing against number ones. It's really difficult, but you have to get up next morning, make championship weight, and fight again without injuries. You know, it is difficult, but if you go past that stage, professional career, it's easier. You know, make weight once and then you fight.
I know you talked about wanting to be champion by a certain age, and we've seen that before with Macy Barber. Do you worry that you're putting too much pressure on yourself if you put a deadline on it?
No, I don't. What pressure from who? My team believes in me. My close people believes in me, and like if I have supporters who believes in me, and it's a journey. You know, there's not like a pressure. If I don't make till like 2023, I'm gonna be a bad guy. You know what I mean? So I believe I can, and I will go. I will do everything was possible to get that goal.
Thank you.
Mohammed, just at the back here. When you think about the fight with Cody on Saturday, how do you see it playing out in your head?
Round 2 finish.
And, in terms of getting your hand raised, with the crowd in London, how are you expecting to feel?
It's good that I'm early so I can walk out and see my people who came to support me. Like, and I hope UFC will send me back to hotel after the fight, so I can watch and support the rest of the fighters who represent UK.
Thank you.
Mohammed, Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Wa alaikum salam. Good.
So you're just 21 years old, and you've been through so much in your life. The guys have mentioned you came here as a refugee at 12 years old. Even last year you got married. I think it was last year you got married as well. There's something that's really stuck to me, and I thought it was really interesting thing that you said in an interview. You said that in school, when it was non-uniform day, like you didn't really want to go into school because you didn't have the nice clothing basically to wear and stuff. And there's so many other stories that you have about your upbringing and those things, and it just makes me think, like, at 21 years old, how do you mentally cope with all of that?
It is difficult, it's very difficult. I'm responsible for whole my family, I have to pay the bills, I have to do everything basically. It's a lot of, it's not just like fighting game. There's life, which is more important than actually, this is my hobby, and going through this helped me to stay focused from like a lot of media now, a lot of sponsorship opportunities, like money getting involved. But that's why it helps me with my focus to remember how hungry I was, why I started this, and if I stop, this all can disappear and I can be in same hole again. You know what I mean? So I just want to stay focused till my family sorted for the rest of their life, and my kids as well in the future.
I know you said you want to be the champ within the next couple of years. Is part of the reason for that because you're only 21 years old and naturally your body is going to start growing, and it's still growing at the moment. So is that kind of why maybe you've given yourself a little bit of a deadline too, because maybe in a few years' time your body's just going to outgrow flyweight and you're going to need to move up to bantamweight?
It will grow. Most of my fights are bantamweight. Like, this is probably my second fight in flyweight since 2017, to be honest. But I make it. I never missed weight out of 30 fights, and if it grows, we'll see. How it's like in life, you get something thrown at you, you just challenge it. We'll see. Maybe move
Sure.
to division.
Good luck on Saturday.
Thank you so much.
Mohammed over here. There we go.
Hello.
Hello, mate. Do you ever give yourself time to reflect on how far you've come in such a short space of time, and what a journey that you have had to arrive here awaiting your UFC debut?
I do look at the back, like the challenges I went through. I'm looking like in the past I went through some toughness, and then like the closer, the further you go in your life, the less challenges coming at you. Maybe because you got used to these challenges, and you start performing better, I believe, because the hard way you little bit done, and now you just concentrate on your performance, not about the life outside as much as you used to be. So yeah.
There's a lot of talk right now with everything going on in Russia and Ukraine. A lot of talk about refugees and how many should be taken up in this country. Do you look at that and see yourself as such an inspiration to many that potentially are coming over here, and there is a life for them, there is still dreams that they can achieve?
I believe so. There will be a lot of refugees coming over now, and there's always been, like, from Afghanistan, Syria, this Palestine, there's a lot of refugees always coming, not just Ukraine. So I want to be one of the inspiration for the people, not just like kids, but for the old people. Like, listen, if you come to a different country with just one backpack, you're not lost, So maybe like mindset, maybe it's something become better in your life. If I stayed in Russia, I maybe be working at the petrol station now, you know what I mean? So don't lose your hope, and just adapt to where you're at now.
And finally, for me, where did you get your strength from to just keep going?
I believe in God's power. It's like whatever happens. Just have to move on. You cannot sit and like this happened and I'm depressed. Like at some point in my life, like age of like 12, when I didn't understand much in religion side, I was thinking like, why I've been created? all this toughness coming, you know, like why it happens to me, and then I start learning more, and I become stronger.
Top man, good luck.
Any more questions?
Good, yeah. Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
You too.
Guys, there is some food next door if you want to make your way. Cory will be probably 5-10 minutes, but help yourselves some food and then we'll come back.
Yeah, I'm gonna come out. That's my cue.
Send me.
Yeah, yeah.
With my file, all you have to do is import. I know. Hopefully the Wi-Fi works. Should do. Just get your WhatsApp. Yeah, it's alright. Just link it that way instead of loading it. Sure, 07
No one going to
490. Yeah, 546.
I'm just banging up a big column at the moment.
Double E. Some food or anything?
Yeah, I'll come in now.
Yeah, that's what's going to be that one. You want to go get something to eat, mate, if you don't worry about me. Just put it in your pocket. You may as well leave your mic on. Just chuck it all in your pocket. I'll leave the actual recording.
It makes it so much easier if you have it. Yeah, I'm very good. But that's right. Works my That's what I literally do say that. I'm thinking about that. If I get it down in 5 minutes, it's not much space.
That's right. That is what I want to see. Make it back. Make it all back. I've got a mix match of everything.
There's almost too much to handle with it.
It just gets more difficult. I love that you keep challenging me like this. Oh, trust you. I don't know. It's never the work, and then I can explore. I feel so accomplished. Except for that last one, that at the start of the next package. Oh yeah, because I've already done my exams. I'm still the right, yeah.
That's like 5 minutes. You're gonna be cut away and just seeing all this.
Well, one package.
You're like, how do you feel got a mouthful of food in your mouth?
I feel people like this audio is going to have people just mentioning the fact. Yeah.
Hold up. You're gonna point the microphone away from me because this is gonna get ugly.
You know, you're one of the best loved fighters in the UK, and you seem to be so confident in yourself. How different is the Molly McCann that's sitting in front of us today than the Molly that lost that night in Liverpool?
I have to work on myself every single day to be who I am, and I don't just wake up like our Patrick and I just knows. You know, like I've suffered real horrific losses in this game, and I have to work on myself, and I have to reaffirm. It's just affirmations for me, and then when I affirm who I am, and then I go to train, the training is what makes me think, oh, fucking hell, yeah, you are all right. Do you know what I mean? But I'm always cautious. I'm never overzealous, and I'm never overconfident. And as long as I always bring that, I know I can always. I'm not setting myself up to fail. Do you know what I mean? I can joke with everyone in here. I can have a laugh. When we're training, not in the session, but pre and post, have a laugh. But you watch me or anyone in our gym when it's hitting the pads, taking down submissions, ground and pound, it's 100% go time. And yeah, I focus a little bit more on being a scouser, and just being a little bit more rough around the edges and not being as polished off as what I become.
What's the buzz like in Liverpool? Because obviously
God, it hasn't stopped since September. Honest to Jesus, like we walk down the street, we can't go anywhere, and it's a real privilege and an honour to have that notoriety and to have that respect that we are carrying a city on our shoulders, and it's not pressure because we're just being us. Our gym or my training partners or even Patrick, we're just being us, and I've said it before and like I'll reiterate again, this is for the fans, this is for the city, and we just want to put them on show, and it's just a very exciting time, and there's not a lot going on for Evertonians right now, so I'm like flying at the flag of a club and all around the world, and or maybe just Liverpool and Wigan, but yeah, we just got to do it for them.
I feel like I know most of the lingo, right, with the Scouse people being from Ireland, but one thing I don't understand, and I have to ask you, yeah, it is come hesky. I need to know what it means. I don't understand.
Here we go, right, so there's a famous video that went on TikTok. There was a rapper in Liverpool, and his dog is actually called Esky, but it sounds like he says Hesky, and everyone thinks Scouser, Emil Heskey. So there's a dead rat on the floor, right, guys, and his dog walks over to it and sniffs it, and he goes, "What? Look, Heskey, that thing is hungry. Come, Heskey, come, Heskey." So I should have done it to all yous because you're eating, you bastards. But in Liverpool now, if someone goes to eat, and you know when you see them eat and they're like, oh, you record them and you go, "Come, Heskey, that thing is hungry," and then you put it online and just like embarrass them, to be fair. So it's Scouse meme history, and in when we was on our way to Vegas, even Adam Ventry sitting down here now, he was sat in the seat in front of me, and I was like sat behind, and he's eating on the plane, and you know, like you have a telly in front of your seat, so I can just see his image, like his reflection, and I'm watching him eating this burger. I'm going, "Come, Heskey," and it just lightens the mood. But in the fight or in training, I used to go, if we hit someone hard, I go, "Oh, proper Heskey fight, yeah." So in the last fight, it's funny, like that last 30 seconds, Paul Rimmer goes, "Come, Heskey," so I would just go, put my hands down, and just start levering it. So you'll probably hear them all shouting it now in the next fight, "Come, Heskey," but yeah.
Ta-ra for now.
Ta-ra, lad.
Hi, Molly.
You got in there quick, son.
Yeah, I've been waiting. How are you anyway?
I'm all right. I'm really haven't seen anything like this for a while, so it's a belter.
Firstly, I just want to say, look at you, BT Sport feature
I
film.
thought you were going to say me hair and me Botox then, lad. I know, yeah, I know.
That was later. Let's do the formal stuff first. But yeah, BT Sport feature film / documentary. I think it came out last night or something.
Yeah, 10:30. Well, about 10:40 because Man United are poo and the show ran over.
How does that make you feel?
I haven't watched it yet. I'm going to go, there's a premiere at the BT studio on Thursday, so I'm going to shoot down there because I haven't got to cut much weight or any at all. So I'm very, very excited to go and watch it, mate.
And just talking a little bit about your last fight. Going into the fight, you've spoken about quite openly how it was a lot of pressure and you felt like you were genuinely fighting for your contract. I just want to say, like, now with the vibe that it is, how much better does it feel that you don't have that pressure anymore and you can be a bit more relaxed? Just put into words, if you can, how much better that feeling is for you right now.
Ultimately, one of the greatest to ever do it, the GOAT, said, Katie Taylor, pressure is privilege. So to be under this banner and fighting the best of the best, you will always feel that, or I will, because that's who I am. And sometimes I've placed too much pressure on my own head, and then the performances you can see, and then I still feel as it, not added pressure, but I still feel the pressure now. It's like, I feel like I have a backpack on my back every day, and when I train and cut weight and the closer we get to the fight, I take like rocks out of it. And right now I think you can see, like, I lashed the backpack about a week ago and I'm absolutely flying, but I'd be naive and a liar to say that come fight night and when I'm on my way to the hotel that I'm not going to have jelly legs and I'm not going to be anxious, but you get the best Molly when my back's against the wall and when I still have a bit of that, so it's healthy to still have it there.
And just finally, Molly, a bit of a cheeky comparison here, but
it's not Nando's, is it?
Nah, I've done that one earlier with Dan Hooker, but and hopefully you don't head kick me for this. But just on your last fight, it almost felt as if it was kind of like you were facing a relegation battle. And you said you're a big Everton fan, who are at the moment, let's face it, they're facing a bit of a relegation battle at the moment. If there's any advice or any lessons that you can give them, in the sense that how you got out of your one,
camera I get this sent to Everton Football Club.
What would you say to them right now?
The board and the club is actually showing the players and the staff messages from fans, messages from season ticket holders, videos, phone calls, everything to give them a bit of motivation. Go and watch Meatball Molly documentary and then go and play a fucking game of football. What it means to wear that badge is what it means for me to represent my city and where I'm from. Nil satis nisi optimum, nothing but the best is good enough, now go and fucking give it.
Good luck on Saturday, Molly.
Molly, just at the back here.
Hiya, love.
Hiya. Talk a little bit about your opponent, Louiana Carolina. What did you think when her name was put forward to you?
Long and rangy fucker. I just said that before next door. She is an amazing striker. She's another Brazilian, number 8 for me. It's nothing I haven't seen before. It's not a different look I've never seen before, other than I've never fought a southpaw in the UFC. She comes from good stock. She's a great fighter. Lad, keep them, I have some forks still. She comes from great stock. She is a fighter as much as myself. I've watched every one of her fights live, but I've watched the breakdown of her movements, what she goes back to, what she likes to attack with, and I only have to see that once with any fighter, because I think if you watch someone, Luana's never fought me, facts, never fought anyone like me, so her reactions isn't going to be the same with anyone else, so I can't give her respect in a certain movement pattern because she won't react the same to me, it's just facts. So I try not to give her too much respect in that sense. But the respect of how much of a gangster she is and how much she likes to bring it is very much still there. And I've worked really hard every single day. And just to give the respect to where she deserves and to the notoriety of where I am on the card, I've added training sessions to this camp. I've brought in my boxing coach. I've added extra, done extra. Even when I thought that I can't, I found it in me to do so. I'm ready to give her the hardest fucking night of her life.
Is there anything that stands out to you that you think you need to watch out for on Saturday with her?
Look, I've got the littlest range in the UFC, facts, and she's got long arms and legs, so I give her the same respect as everyone else gets. Negate range, negate distance, come Heskey, eh?
And you said obviously history in the making for you on this card. How do you see yourself getting your hand raised on Saturday night?
We've said it before, and I said it with, like, before the UFC London got cancelled, I'd done a big interview with Nick Peter, and it was like, we're gonna finally get this finish at deserve, and putting all this pressure on this finish, but I just feel as if me and Vince were speaking about it a lot. Like in September, everything was aligned for us to get the performance and to get a new contract. And I just feel like I'm not scared of my ability, and I'm ready to just keep going. I've got a resting heart rate of like 39 and 40 beats per minute at the minute, which basically means I can be fifth gear for 15 minutes if I need to be. And I'm going to do anything I can to get a finish. I don't know what round, and I'm generally saying this, I don't know if I'll submit it, because we've worked now for the last, 4 years since Gillian ruined my life. I've worked every day near enough in the gym on my jiu-jitsu, so she best be careful.
And I saw you're working with weapons down, gloves up.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about that and what that means to you?
Yeah, it's an initiative. It's run by a charity in Liverpool now. It's fronted by a famous boxer, Tony Bellew, and a famous Liverpool legend in Billy Moore. But basically, you'll be able to understand the knife crime in the country and in a city, urban cities, or there's just no one's fighting like they used to back in the day. Everyone's carrying a blade for safety. And what can I do to help where I'm from? I released a book to help my one community. How can I help another community where I'm from? And they basically promote boxing sessions to provide routine and fitness, and then they'll have classroom sessions in the afternoon where they learn labouring or anything that kind of needs like a CIS card, SIS, CSI and all that. I'm thinking, aren't I? Oh yeah. And then they put into work, so it's not like here's the tools, fuck off, go and do it on yourself. Like from the day you step into the door until the day you finished, you'll have a little mini transformation, and you will get a full-time job or an apprenticeship at the end of it. And I think that's sometimes where other initiatives may lack, and there's not a finished and an end product. And I basically spoke to them and I said I think it needs like a woman's touch on the end of it, because there's not many women who do it, and I think people will respect me in my area and know that if they've got like a bit of a bad attitude, if they're going to speak to me like shit, it's not going to go down very well. So they'll have that respect there with me. And yeah, and if I can bring a positive light on what's going on and bring more eyes to it, maybe more sponsors. They're looking to use it in the Commonwealth Games as an umbrella partnership. So even in Birmingham, in London, in Liverpool, it's going to be a big movement. So I'm very proud to have my name on that.
Molly, just in front of you. I feel like obviously you're the hometown hero and you love to scrap and put on a fight for the fans. But do you feel like a win here will actually make people realise you're a legitimate title contender, and obviously that's your goal to win a belt, so you kind of have to realise that's the important thing as well?
Yeah, thanks for that question, lad. There was a time when I stopped thinking about that, and I just wanted to be a fan favourite, and I just wanted to have the best performance on the night I could, and then that's why I wasn't getting the performances and the decisions. So I had to start reevaluating and thinking about, why am I doing it? Because I'm not doing it to be mediocre. I'm not doing it to be top 10, top 5. Like, I want the belt. If not, I wouldn't do MMA anymore. I wouldn't go to a lesser promotion for more money. I wouldn't be fighting MMA. I'll go back to boxing. So I believe everyone's kind of, they know who I am, and I believe you are right. In a win in a good fashion, I'm ranked again and I'm on my way. And if you think I lost last July or the July before on Fight Island to Talia Santos, after me she had 2 wins. She's now fighting Shevchenko in June, so why not me?
And lastly, do you wish you were there yesterday to back up Paddy when you got into the hotel scuffle?
Fucking fuming. Honest to God, he goes away for 2 minutes and what happens? Half of Georgia try and do him in. Look, we roll as one, and a girl or not, that's how we brought up in Liverpool, so we back our own. But we couldn't believe it. Blaze wasn't there recording it. None of us was there to back him, but okay, Scousers don't get knocked out, at least the good ones don't. So he had it on his own. He had his own back, didn't he?
You still got on with a hand sanitizer bottle, but
Well, his eggs went everywhere. He was more fuming about the scrambled eggs getting flung across the floor than he was about the Georgian trying to whip him.
Cheers, Molly.
Am I done?
Molly, can I just ask you one question about Paddy? Actually, there was a while there when you were signed, right?
There was
And
what, lad?
there was a while there where you were signed to the UFC when it didn't. People who were covering Paddy's career closely, he had a hand injury, and we didn't actually know if this was ever going to happen. There was massive doubt, actually, at one point that he'd ever get to a UFC fight. He's here now. He's one of the biggest stars in the sport. Like, his journey has been pretty crazy too, right? On top of yours, do you guys bond through that?
100% is. I've said to Patrick sometimes, like, when I lost, me and Paddy are the only people to win a world title in the Liverpool Echo Arena, and then the next fight lose them. Oh, well, I didn't lose my title. I signed to the UFC and then got put a kip, but he lost his next fight in there, and I had to ask him, like, how the fucking hell do you deal with this? And he told me, and I learned some valuable lessons off him, and even in terms of, like, the fame and everyone on here, and you'll see with me and him, we don't like to let people down. Team, fans, anyone who wants a picture, anyone who wants our time, like, learning how to do all that kind of thing. He done it first, and then obviously he unravelled a little bit, and then I learned from him again, and then he overcome that. And I think a lot of journalists in here, we would have spoke about Paddy's injuries, and was there a point where the whole of us thought, is he ever going to come back? Because it didn't take the first time. He had to get it done again, and then when he lost to Soren back, we was just like, oh, that weren't supposed to happen. Like, this is Paddy. Paddy doesn't lose, you know. And to see him turn into a man in front of our eyes is very inspiring. And he's like the captain of our ship, do you know what I mean? I'm the big sis in the gym, he's the captain, and we learn from each other and push each other through the tough times. And we're very, very fortunate in our way. We share a lot together. And April 1st, 2018, I believe, was the last time I opened and he headlined. And it's not quite the same. He's not headlining, but like I said, me and Vince say, I'm the people's co-main and he's the people's main event. So it feels like we've made it feel this big magnitude of everything, like we're just back home and like we're just the kids going out to have a scrap. And I think that's a very positive place to be for us both. And I'm sure the world will know his story after a few more fights, and he'll get into the lulls and the lows, because he's never really had to speak about it, because everyone just wants to know what he washes his hair with, or where he's taking Lenny for a walk, or what he's eating next. Do you know what I mean? But with me, you'll always have the deep emotional ride, and with him, you're like, what the fuck's he gonna say next? So, as a pair, I think we're the yin and the yang, aren't we? Did you just want one?
Yeah, just in terms of embracing your own journey and being honest about who you are. How important has that been? That journey been, and how has it impacted your time in the octagon?
Fighting about 19 fights outside the cage, and then when I get in there, I feel free. I feel like everything outside the cage, every journey, life lesson, everything's kind of seasoned me to not break and to be strong when I'm in there. And people go, where the fucking hell do you just pull it out of? Where'd you find it? And I suppose not only being a gay fighter, but being from Liverpool, or even worse, being an Evertonian, we are just very much accustomed to adversity. And I said it, didn't I, like that the tough times don't last, but tough people do. So the universe and God wouldn't give me a journey and obstacles that I weren't meant to overcome and learn from and push through. So my plan's already written out and I'm on the course, and I've just, if something doesn't go my way, it's why, not poor me. And when you change your mindset to that, you're pretty much able to find a positive out of it all and keep going forward. Thanks, lads and ladies.
Hello everyone, how's it doing? You good? No, any pies in here, is that what you're saying? No pies today, unfortunately. I would love a pie now, to be honest.
Well, Mike, we haven't seen you since the Houston fight. So, what are your thoughts just 48 hours out from one of the bigger nights in UK MMA history, I would imagine?
Yeah, card's great. I mean, I'm in a great place right now, mentally and physically. And, I mean, I'm back where, first of all, I had my last win. And it was my debut. I'm back in my own country. I've got all my family and my friends around me. And I'm in a great place, you know. I'm very, very happy. And I'm just ready to fight and put on a performance, you know, Saturday night.
You're obviously fighting Makwan Americani on Saturday. What did you make of him as an opponent? A guy, I think a lot of fans, they see his knockouts, but he obviously has very high level grappling as well, a lot of submissions, and you obviously have a very high level wrestling and grappling base too. Typically, when we see these two high level grapplers, it can turn into a striking match, like historically, like Matt Hughes would fight like Josh Koscheck. That would happen, for example. So, what do you make of his skill set in the octagon all around?
Yeah, he's got great skills, you know. I mean, it is a great fight, you know, and like you said, sometimes the two wrestlers end up, you know, striking much more. Mainly probably because of our ego a little bit as well, because I don't want to get took down. I don't want to fail a takedown. I don't want him to take me down, you know. So sometimes our ego a little bit, you know. You've seen it with Colby and Kamara. You know, they didn't really attack too much in the first fight. So I think that's what happens, and that's why they end up striking more. But yeah, you know, Makwan's got good skill set. He's got similar chokes to me on the ground, and that's what's going to make it a great fight on the night. I think he's gone under the radar a little bit, and you know, I think people's going to be surprised when they see us walk out on the night, and they're going to be excited to see that fight. And we're going to put on a performance, I presume.
So confident in your hands against Makwan, I would imagine.
Yeah, you know, that's what I'm taking from my last fight a little bit more. Coming up against somebody like Lando Vanato was my last fight, and he's an exceptional striker. He's he's world class in striking. He's come up against some great guys, and you know, I hurt him. I hurt him on the feet. I definitely did hurt him with a couple of right hands. So, you know, that's the kind of confidence I'm going to be taking to this fight. I'm going to put the pressure on. I'm going to get the finish.
And finally, I asked Molly this just before you came out. Back stateside, we hear about this golden era of MMA in the UK right now, presently. So can you feel that right now during fight week from the fans? I mean, they haven't had a card since 2019, and now they're getting the stacked card for their return.
Yeah, the last card here was 2019 again, where I had my debut. So I had that feeling of my debut. I was excited all week, and I was buzzing because it was my debut, and I'm getting that same feeling again. And yeah, it's one of the best cards they put on in the UK ever, I think. You know, looking at this card, there's a lot of big names on it, and you know, Tom, my teammate, Tom Aspinall, he's headlining, so that's nice again. You know, I've been here before when Till headlined, but you know, the results I think are going to come this time. I think because obviously last time we didn't get 2 results, but this time I think we'll get the 2 results.
Mike, just to the back here. Obviously, you are coming off of those 2 losses. You know, they didn't go your way. Do you approach this fight any differently? As you have done in the past?
I don't approach it any differently, you know, and I'll be honest, this fight is so much more than, you know, me keeping my job after 2 losses. This fight is to put on a performance for my dad. Sadly, my dad has been diagnosed with a terminal illness, and he's going to be there cage side watching me, you know, on the night, and that is what it means to me. You know, there is absolutely no chance that this guy's going to put me away on Saturday night. You know, you could put me in with the heavyweights on the main event, and they won't put me away either, because I'm there to put on a performance in front of my dad, and that is what it means to me, and that's the main thing. I'm going to dedicate this fight and this win to my dad.
Has that given you any extra motivation then going into this one?
Yeah, it's not going to put any extra pressure on me, you know, if that's what you're thinking, but it has definitely given me much more motivation. It's given me, you know, it's lit a fire in my belly, and I'm very excited for the fight, but I'm very angry for the fight as well, and I feel that's going to bring the best out in me.
And in terms of training for this, have you approached training for this any differently? Having had those 2 losses, is there anything that you've taken away from those that you've maybe made improvements?
I mean, yeah, obviously I've, you know, coming off 2 losses, I think coming off losses, the first person you need to look at is yourself. I think a lot of people do it wrong. They start changing gyms, they start changing weights and things like that. But I sat down and I thought about it to myself, and I changed the fact that obviously I train in Liverpool, which I'm travelling 4 hours a day to get to, you know, because I train twice a day, I'm going to and from. So I moved into Liverpool this time and made sure my recovery was perfect. and I feel that's helped me a lot. So I just literally moved away from my family for the last 5-6 weeks of my camp, you know, and made sure I made that sacrifice. And I just lived, eat, and sleep, breathe, training. That was it.
And last one for me, what do you think you can expect to see from McCann on Saturday night?
You know, I mean, he is a little bit hit and miss, McCann. You know, I think he's sometimes he turns up, sometimes he doesn't. We'll see, but it doesn't matter what kind of McCann's going to turn up, because I am turning up and I am getting that win.
Thank you.
Mike, this fight back here at the back, this fight was originally part of the ill-fated 2020 London card. And did you ever in your wildest dreams think you would get it back 2 years later with the fans back and all this attention?
I mean, I've looked at McCann even before I got into the UFC. He fought people I knew, you know, and I've always watched him. So I always, you know, envisioned that I was going to fight this guy. I don't know why, maybe because he had good wrestling and I knew I had good wrestling. I always thought we'd come up and get a match against each other. But yeah, obviously I got a match against him in 2020, a week before. You know, he got cancelled because of the COVID. But I'm happy it's come back around again. It's a fight I've always wanted, and it's obviously a fight we've got now, and I'm happy about that, yeah.
How different a fighter is he from the McCann Americani of 2 years ago?
I mean, obviously he's coming in with quite a bit of pressure, you know, 3 losses. Probably I'd say he should have won a couple of those fights. You know, he fought a guy who was on a debut and took it late, and he lost to that guy. I can't remember his name. And then obviously Herbert and Beb also. You know, it's a great fight, and there's no shame in losing to that guy. And then Laurent Murphy obviously knocked him out, and it was quite a bad knockout. So he's probably coming in with a bit of pressure this fight. I think he's definitely a different fighter to a couple of years ago.
The last one for me. I know media and fans, we make a big deal about having the hometown advantage and fighting at home here in England. I mean, obviously the fans are going to be loud and behind you come Saturday night, but how much of a factor is that in a fight for you?
Yeah, I thrive off that. I mean, obviously, me walking out for my debut, like I said, a few years ago, I'll have that same feeling again. I'm getting the same feeling now, fight week. You know, everything's similar. I've got that excitement, and I think it's going to be the same on the night. I think it's going to be even better this time. Last time I was first on. You know, this time it looks like I'm the last one on the prelim so far, looking at the card. So there's going to be more fans. You know, I've got my teammate on. There's a lot of people. Obviously, there's one half of the card's pretty much British, so I'm presuming all their fans are going to be there too, and they're going to be screaming for me as well. So I think I'm going to thrive off that attention. I'm going to thrive off that loudness, and I'm going to put on the performance of a lifetime.
Hey, Mike, just down here. How you doing?
I'm going great, thanks, mate.
So you alluded to this a little bit in one of your previous question and answers, but my colleague Nick P on the Fight Disciples podcast this week also mentioned how you used to travel like 4 hours just for training, and you know it wasn't allowing you to recover the way that you wanted to. So obviously now you've got a flat and you're living closer to the gym. Are you already reaping the benefits of that right now? And how much of that do you think that will be a factor coming into the fight this weekend?
I think it's a big factor, yeah. You know, your recovery, obviously as I'm getting older as well, your recovery is so important. I can train as hard as anyone in the gym, but if I'm not doing the right recovery, then I don't think it's great. So, yeah, recovery, and like I said, my sleep's been good. I mean, I've got 3 kids, but I've got 2 young kids at home, and they're climbing into bed at the middle of the night, you know what I mean? So I'm getting woke up in the middle of the night. Broken sleep for an athlete who's training 4 to 5 hours per day is not good. So I've had none of that. You know, it's been tough leaving my family. I love my family, and you know, my wife's been great. She's you know, sacrificed everything she's had to sacrifice too to make sure she can look after the kids and make sure she's there for me. And it's been fantastic, and I feel I'm cutting weight right now, but I feel great. I feel, you know, ready to go into my last bit of my weight cut tomorrow and fight Saturday. I'm feeling great.
And it was only a couple of fights ago that you were on a 9-fight win streak. So how excited are you to remind the world who Mike Grundy is again?
Exactly, yeah. You know, that is, you know, I'm going in with a bit of a chip on my shoulder really on Saturday night because, you know, like I said, this fight's gone under the radar. I feel like I've gone under the radar a little bit. You know, I know I'm coming off 2 losses, but there was close fights. There was great fights. So yeah, I'm going in to make a statement and, like I said, put on a great performance.
And just my final question, and on a bit of a lighter note, what's your most favourite thing to do after you fight?
After the fight, eat. I mean, this time this time I'm going to stay. I didn't stay in London last time I fought here, but I'm staying in London. Going to spend some time with my dad and my family up in London, just a couple of days, and I've made sure I've searched out some of the best restaurants. We're going to American Diner on Sunday daytime. We're going to eat there and get a big burger, I think.
Good luck on Saturday night.
Thanks very much, mate.
Hi, Mike. Here.
Hi, mate.
McCann is very well known for his anaconda choke. How many times have you watched him doing that, and how prepared are you for it?
Yeah, I've seen him obviously do it quite a bit, and I'm very prepared for it because he's got the similar cut chokes that I use as well. I love an anaconda choke. I love a dash choke. I love a guillotine. It's no secret. And again, my ego kicking. I don't think I'll get caught with my type of chokes either. So I'm ready for it. I'm ready for them. That everyone?
Mike, just a quick one.
Yeah.
It's the 20-year anniversary of the first ever UFC London event this year, the Brawl in the Hall. On that night, Ian Freeman was in a very similar position to yourself. His dad was, in the hospital with a terminal illness.
Yeah.
He actually stole the show. He produced the performance of his life, stopped Frank Mir, and it went down in UK MMA folklore as the coming out party.
Yeah.
Is the stage set for you to do something very similar? Will history repeat itself? Can you set a tone and really push on for this next stage of UK MMA?
I think I definitely can. And I didn't know that about Ian Freeman. Obviously, I knew he fought in the UFC and stuff, but I didn't actually know that. But it does, having that thing in the back of your mind, and my dad's gonna be sat there. He's gonna be there cage side. To have him there, and we don't know how many more really he's gonna be able to be there for, is special to me, and it definitely lights a fire in my belly, and it definitely is going to bring out a different animal in me. It definitely is, and hopefully that's going to be a performance of the night. Bonus to add as well. Everyone okay? Yeah. Thanks very much, everyone. Thank you.
Yeah, right. Well, just waiting on Chisanga. You good? Just kidding. Well, Cory, 48 hours out from one of the bigger nights in UK MMA history. What are your thoughts so close to the event now?
Just excited, to be honest. It's been a long time coming. So it's going to be great to, get in there, see the crowd, and
Sorry about that. It's obviously been a long time since we last saw you inside the octagon. What specifically kept you out of? I know there was like some health issues or some injuries or anything. What specifically happened?
Yeah, well, obviously I tore the ankle in the last fight, so that took a little while to recover from. I had to have like full reconstruction and everything, so that set me back. And then booked the fight with Whitmire, but had some, like, say, some health complications, kind of bit of a mystery, but that took a few months to clear up. And then, you know, by that time, like nearly a year had passed or whatever, and pushed to get on the London card. So yeah.
And obviously your opponent, Elise Reed. Were you happy with the matchup? Were you excited? Did you know anything about her? And if you didn't, did you go and watch tape? And what did you make of her skill set?
Yeah, obviously, like when I watch tape, when I'm offered the opponent, I'm excited by any matchup. You know, I just like to get in there, get in there and fight. So whoever they offered, really. But yeah, when I watch some tape, you know, she's solid, like as to be expected at this level. You know, like I think she's stereotypical like striker versus grappler kind of setup. But you know, she's no slouch on the ground, and I've obviously, you know, got some accolades and been working hard on my striking. So I think it's going to be a pretty well-rounded fight, and hopefully it's nice and entertaining for the crowd.
And finally, we've spoken with a lot of UK-based MMA fighters. They've been around for a while. Molly even was talking. She remembers when she sparred you when you were like very young. Have you felt this sense of historic moment leading up to this fight, even though you are so young in your career?
Yeah, like I say, like these are, I'm sharing the card with like the, you know, the who's who of UK MMA, like people that I've known since I was like a kid. You know, like say I went and sparred with Molly. Would have been like 15.
Yeah, that's what she was saying.
Yeah, before I even made my amateur MMA, you know, debut. So it's really cool for things to come full circle. Like I say, I'm sharing the card with everyone like that I've known growing up, everyone that I've watched growing up, people that I've like, you know, I've shared cards with before, or I've trained with. So it's going to be really cool. Like I think it's the first experience for me of like actually having that, like you say.
Cory, first UFC fight on UK soil. How does it feel? Obviously, it's different from competing in Las Vegas at the Apex and then competing in America. So, how excited are you to be competing in the UK? And obviously, I'm sure there's lots of friends and family who've turned out for this one.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Like I said, this is kind of like my first UFC experience. You know, I haven't fought in front of a crowd for like 3 years, and it's a great opportunity. Like all my friends, all my family are coming out. So yeah, I'm really excited. It's going to be a huge event, and like I say, the support from the English and the Welsh and everyone, like it's going to be crazy.
Cory, just at the back here. Can you talk a little bit about your preparations going into this fight? Obviously, you train over at Team Alpha Male, and I saw you also pictured with Macy Barber as well. Can you talk a little bit about camp?
Yeah, so I've been based at Team Alpha Male since I fought on Contenders. Been living there for the last couple of years. You know, Macy, like say, Macy plays a huge part in my camp. I've been working with Joey Rodriguez, Uriah Faber, Danny Castillo, like all the top coaches as well. So, you know, it's just been great. Like I train full time, you know, year round. So I've been prepared. You know, even with the injuries, I was working around them and getting my stuff in. So make sure that I'm making the improvements needed. So, you know, I've been ready since my last fight. Just kind of, you know, had to deal with a few hiccups on the way. Like I say, like, you know, I'm really grateful for my training partners. I've got Macy Barber and, you know, Yan fought on the weekend. You know, she's there now too. So got some really high level training partners and top coaches and everything. So feeling well prepared.
And how are you feeling preparing to go into the atmosphere at the O2 Arena? Obviously, the first time back with the crowd, UFC returns to London. There's going to be a massive atmosphere. How are you preparing to take that all in?
Yeah, luckily with Cage Warriors, I feel like we had that kind of experience. Obviously, it's not going to be such a large scale, but I mean, Cage Warriors wasn't at such a large scale, obviously. But you know, I've had that crowds, I've had the lights, I've had the camera, the full experience. So I feel like it's nothing that I've not experienced before. It's just going to be at like a greater scale. So I feel like if anything, the atmosphere is just going to be amplified, and you know, the emotions will be running high going in there. And luckily, you know, all I ever feel is excitement and prepared to go. So it's going to be fun.
How do you see the fight going down on Saturday?
Yeah, obviously, I always aim for like a finish. I'm not going to call it. Like I say, I've been preparing all around with the best coaches. So wherever it goes, like I'm sure I can get it done. So I'll just be looking to put on a well-rounded performance and hunt that finish. And put on an exciting fight for everybody.
Thank you.
Cory, you said when you were chatting to us previously that you were
possibly overtraining quite a lot, and you said that maybe you'd have to dial things back a little bit, especially because of the health stuff that was going on. Have you maintained that mindset? Because we spoke to Arnold Allen a little while ago, and he doesn't believe at all that you're going to take it easy.
So I've actually, Arnold's here as the co-main, but he's also been assigned as my babysitter. Jack's given him strict instructions that if they see me sneaking off to get any extra training sessions in, he's to wrestle me. So yeah, I mean, they know what I'm like, but I have been a lot smarter. You know, I am approaching this correct. I have listened to him, listened to all my coaches. You know, like even leading up to the fight, you know, like completely just listening to my body, listening to my coaches, doing what needs to be done, you know, as opposed to just doing everything. And I think it'll make a huge difference in this fight. Like I feel a lot more like fine-tuned and like focused as opposed to just trying to do like say everything, you know, quality over quantity. But yeah, I've definitely being held accountable on that too.
Well, thanks very much. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Corey? Just down here.
Yeah.
Hey, you're right. So up until very recently, you were the youngest UFC fighter on the roster, and I believe that record was taken by someone else who's fighting on this card, Mokaev. You're still currently the youngest female fighter on the roster, but one record that can't ever be taken away from you is that you are the first female Welsh fighter in the UFC. Just put into words, how much does that mean to you?
Yeah, that's huge. Like you say, like that's a title that no one's ever going to take away from me. And you know, something that's like, you know, means a lot to me and my family. Like, you know, they've invested in me from the jump, so it's cool for me to be able to go out there and like, you know, reach this level and be kind of what was I say? Lost track. Sorry, can't wait. It's, you know, it's nice for me to be able to hold that title and like kind of like be able to be like the forefront for women's MMA. And I hope that, you know, I know there's a lot of women on the amateur scene. There's a lot of like young girls on the scene, you know, like early teenagers that, you know, it would be nice to see them come through and be kind of like, you know, able to like help that or like lead the way, if anything.
And throughout your career, you've been in the same gyms as Arnold Allen, Jack Shaw, who just happened to be on this card with you as well. How much inspiration do you take from seeing what they've done so far in their UFC careers?
Yeah, it's great. Like growing up, I always said like the people that I looked up to were the people that I saw on the mats around me. You know, like early in my amateur days when I was still in school, like I was seeing like say Arnold and everyone like grafting on the mats, putting in that work, and kind of just like say like gave me that template, like let me know that like what I need to do if I do want to succeed. So, you know, like say like when I was training at Tillary, like I saw all the boys like putting in all the work. Like I know that they're going to be, you know, just as well prepared going into these fights as I feel like I am, and that's really cool for me. Like,
and just final one from me, Corey. Fighting aside, I speak to a lot of fighters and they tell me that at school it wasn't really for them. However, you really loved school, so I just wanted to know, what was your favorite subject in school? And you said that you'd probably be studying at university. So two things: what was your favorite subject in school? And if you were studying at university right now, what would you be studying?
Yeah, so when I was like 2, I turned to my mum and was like, oh, I want to be a scientist. So that was probably what I would have pursued if I hadn't fought. I am a firm believer if you don't use it, you lose it. So I'm not sure please don't quiz me on anything. But yeah, like I was like a huge book nerd and stuff like that. So yeah, probably like the science route, which kind of transfers a little bit into fighting as well, I think.
Good luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
Corey here at the back, right here. You know, you mentioned having Macy Barber as a training partner. You mentioned, you know, Mokaev being on the same card. Both of those are fighters who have kind of set a deadline for themselves to become champion. Mokaev talked about that today. Do you have any sort of deadline like that in terms of where you want to be at a certain age?
No, one thing I've kind of learned is like with this sport, there's too much unpredictability and like too much variability, like too many like, you know, variables going into it. Like I've had a lot of injuries. I've had a lot of long layoffs too. Really, if you like look at it, like I think this is like the second time I've had like nearly an 18-month layoff in my career, which, you know, given that I'm so young, that's quite a lot. So one thing I've kind of realized is like I can't set necessarily like time dates like that because all I'm going to do is, you know, disappoint myself. For me, it's like a case of I know that will come. When it comes, I don't mind. I know that I'm working hard and I'm going to do my best to get there as soon as possible, but I'm not putting stress on, you know, like how fast I get there or anything. I'm going to trust the process and take things one fight at a time.
How nice is it to not be the youngest fighter on the card for a change?
I never really valued the age thing too much. Like say I was 15 fighting 30-year-old women. Like I never really if anything, I spent my whole like growing up trying to like fight that whole like kid versus woman kind of thing. Like for me, it's the age never really played a part because I have so much experience despite my age. So yeah, like it's not like necessarily like a nice thing to not be the youngest. Obviously, it was it's for me it's something that never really played into my mind because I go into every fight feeling well experienced and prepared.
Well, it doesn't play a role for you. Maybe do you think opponents look at you a certain way because of your age and maybe even overlook you?
I for sure think there's probably like an element of underestimating me. Like say I'm young. I'm not necessarily the most like biggest, scariest person looking, but like for me that only plays in my favor. They're going in there with false confidence or whatever, and I can just prove that wrong. So it doesn't make a difference to me.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Corey, I know this is your first fight in the UK and the UFC, but how eager are you to eventually bring the UFC to Wales along with Jack Shore?
Yeah, like you say, the Welsh MMA scene is buzzing right now. I don't see any reason why we shouldn't be able to bring it to Wales eventually. Like I think they definitely sell out. The way the Welsh crowd gets behind the fighters and everything. And I don't see them having any trouble filling the card like that. So it would be great to see that in the future for sure.
Other than your friends and family, are you expecting a big contingent showing up this weekend?
Yeah, like you say, like all my friends and family are showing up, and then obviously you got all the other people on the card. So I'm sure that crowd is going to be absolutely wild and fully behind all of the fighters from the UK.
Cheers, thank you.
One from me, Corey. Amongst all the training and everything, have you still managed to find time to do some painting? And if so, are you working on anything at the moment?
I haven't actually, as of late. I've kind of just been focusing on this fight, probably like for the last like 6 to 8 weeks. Just kind of like put down the pencil, picked up the gloves. Like say, I train full time year round. But once we're in camp, I get a little bit more like focused. Like all I want to do is eat, sleep, and train. Especially once you're cutting weight and everything, you start like needing that extra time. So I haven't really been doing too much. Just kind of focusing a bit more on this fight and really tailoring it in.
No, well, I know that much. Sorry?
Hello. Aye. Hello, ladies. No, turned it down. They heard it and went, nah, let's fucking stop this guy. Right, guys, who's excited for London? Are you, I am absolutely jacked the fact that we're back in London, man. How awesome is that?
Yeah, is this one of the more exciting moments of your career?
Being in London, it's a toss-up between the last-minute submission against Ankalaev and the arm break. What do you think's better?
Man, well, if they're both aging much better, both of those wins
I know,
every single
exactly.
day.
We've got two of the top 205ers moving their way up the division. And there's a poor UK guy kind of just sitting in the outskirts. Feel sorry for me.
Does that give you more confidence, though, seeing what Ankalaev, seeing what Jamal Hill are doing in some of these recent performances and where they're kind of sitting in the rankings?
Definitely. One of the things that you always do is compare yourself to other guys in the division. And you want to know that you fit there. Because that's what it's about, and it's about, am I good enough to be in that top 10? Seeing what Jamal Hill done in his last two fights, gives me confidence, and seeing what Ankalaev's doing to the top prospects in the top 10. So it's just filling me with hope.
Yeah, definitely. And you come in against someone like Nikita Krylov, who has a lot of experience as well. What do you just think of this matchup? What does this do for your career?
Definitely, like, breaking into the top 10 has been a goal for me for the last 2 years. We had COVID, which set that kind of on the back burner. You know, it was about getting fights. So for my new year, new resolution, all this kind of nonsense, it was getting into that top 10. And there's one guy standing in my way at the moment, and it's Krylov. So what I'm looking to do is put on a performance of the night, not to get the bonuses, but to get my name in the mix for this top 10, top 5, be a title contender. Because going 15 minutes and taking damage and putting on a performance are two different things. Going to 15 minutes, people can get a wee bit bored of that. They don't really want to see decisions. They want to see knockouts. They want to see submissions. So it's about putting on a performance for me, and it's going hell for leather. It's about looking for these submissions, looking for the finishes, and not playing it safe. And we see that quite a lot of fighters do that. Quite a lot of fighters will just play safe and get the victory at the end. That's not what I want. What I want is performances of the night. I want to be remembered for putting on performances, entertaining fans to be like, Paul Craig, he's not the best, but by God, does he put on a performance?
Yeah, and you look at the ingredients here. I mean, 42 wins between the two of you. I think there's only one decision, and that's on his side. So when you go in there, do you meet fire with fire, or do you have to be cautious in the early going to make sure you don't walk into something or make a big mistake?
You know, you always need to be switched on. You don't want to go fire for fire, but I think this fight deserves fire for fire. I think it needs to be blood, sweat, tears, snorters, the full shebang. I think that's what it needs. And especially a fight with two of the top 10 205ers, and we're on the early prelims. I think that's the fans who are watching the prelims are going to enjoy this fight to kick off the prelims with, as opposed to waiting to the main event. Our fight's already done. We'll be out having a few beers. We'll be away to the dancing. We'll be celebrating.
And we know he is, has ties to Ukraine, and there's a lot going on there. And we haven't had the chance to speak to him, so we don't know exactly where he's at mentally. But what do you kind of just make of what maybe he's enduring, personally, and on that side of it going into this fight?
Yeah, he's a professional, and I'd love to say that it's not going to affect him, but he's dealing with something bigger than UFC, than a fight of a top 10. His real fight is much bigger than the UFC.
Thank you, Paul.
Paul? I saw you and Nikita eating breakfast right next to each other yesterday.
Yeah, I didn't even know what was in behind me.
Yeah, it was like you guys were back to back, right?
So I turned round, and you know that way you kind of notice someday, it didn't look that big.
No.
Like, you know when you look at people and you're like, whoa, he's a bit of a man, isn't he? I looked at him and I went, his neck's a wee bit on the thin side.
You obviously have an incredibly high level grappling. You talked about when you broke Jamal's arm. He has a ton of submissions too. So how would you compare your MMA grappling to his MMA grappling?
Yeah, that's what makes this fight exciting. I'm a grappler, he's a grappler. Where I struggle is against guys who are power punchers, guys whose skill isn't that high, but they've just got this one knockout punch power. I like to go in a wee bit gung-ho, hands are down, I'm trying to grab on them, I'm trying to pull guard. He's very good at grappling, and we're going to see who is the best grappling in 205, because I don't think there's anybody else who really comes close to myself and Krylov. Maybe Glover, maybe that's the next fight.
Anthony Smith is pretty good too, right?
Do you think so? I watched this triangle against the wrestler. What was it? The guy basically run into his legs and was like, "Aye, go put me in that triangle." Whereas at least I look like I'm actually trying to work for the triangle. But it's really good, the fact that one of the best grapplers in the division is a Scottish guy, not Brazilian. And I don't know if you know this, actually. See the actual family tree of Gracie. It's actually from Scotland. Interesting fact. Do you know that? You must not. I know. Hey, I'm a direct relative of every famous Scottish guy. See William Wallace. His blood courses through mine.
Finally, I know you just mentioned him, Glover. What do you make of that title fight between Jiri Prochazka and Glover Teixeira coming up in June?
It's the old dog versus a young bull in it. It's like we've got somebody in Glover who's seen it, done it. He's been just chiseling away trying to get that title, and now he's got it. And I think it's going to be a lot harder for Jiri than a lot of people think. I think they expect him just to go in, do a crazy bit of spinning shit, and it's game over. That's not going to happen. Glover's too old and too wise for that. You watched him, one of the standout moments for me was when Glover's tooth got knocked out with that uppercut for Gustafsson. That's amazing, man. That's tough as shit. But then what he does is then he returns that favour and knocks the teeth out of Anthony Smith. There you go, the dentists.
Paul, just down here.
How you doing, my friend?
I'm fine. How are you?
Yeah, I'm living the dream. You know, it's fight week, and there's fans. Like, I can't get any better than that. For the last 2 years, we've had no fans. Entertainment. It's a sport of entertainment, and for the last 2 years, the fans have been watching it without any people there. So I'm over the moon to be here.
So I just want to say I'm really happy that you've kind of changed your mind and reconsidered your retirement plans.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, in your division, a couple of great wins and you're up there for a title shot, right? And if you do win the title, you would become the first Scottish UFC champion.
Yep.
How much would that mean to you?
That means so much more to me than like anything else. Like getting the belts is like amazing, but I want to be the first of the Scottish. I want people to like, you know, when you're in school and you have to research somebody and somebody's like, I'm going to check Scottish athletes, and I come up and then people then start researching about me, and then they're going up in front of their class and telling people, oh, I'm doing my presentation on Paul Beardrew Craig. You know, he was the first Scottish champion. That's the kind of stuff I'm looking forward to, like to inspire the next generation of Scottish athletes, or even the next UK athlete in the world of MMA. For a long time, and this is like a kind of breakthrough event for the talent to be showcased for the UK fighters. And that's what we're seeing. Like for a long time, there's only been like one or two guys, and we're not getting the recognition we deserve. It's taking what Leon Edwards up to this point, all the wins he's racked up, fighting savage after savage for him to get a title shot. We're looking at Arnold Allen, the exact same thing. Scottish guys, UK guys don't really get the credit they deserve, and I think it's because we are on the other side of the world. MMA is still very, very early, and it's very early days for the sport in the UK, comparing it to America. So that's why the Americans get more opportunities, but this is a breakthrough event for this to all change, to see people like Molly Meatball McCann, to see people like Tom Aspinall just rise. So I'm excited to see what the UK can do within the next couple of years of the sport.
Since you've touched on that, I was going to say, like, you're not a decisions guy, you're a finish guy.
Yep.
And like you just said there, it just feels like you're not, for me anyway, personally, I feel like you're not getting the recognition you deserve, and some of those guys that you mentioned also are not getting the recognition you deserve. So having said that, how do you stop yourself from not feeling demotivated by that?
Yeah.
How do you keep going?
Last year was horrible for me. I get the victory over Jamal Hill, sensational. You know, it was viral. I think it was there was that night. I was told it was the most searched thing in the world at that point was Paul Craig arm break, and the second most searched thing was what language does Paul Craig speak. They were the two. Like, to me, that's amazing. But after that, after the dust cleared and everything settled, then there was nothing for Paul, and it was like, right, Paul, there's Gus, and I wasn't able to tell people because the fight was never ever announced. And then that fight was then pulled from me, and then we were going to fight at roundabout, I think it was the 18th of December against Krylov in Las Vegas. Then the US put ban on people coming into the country who weren't double vaccinated. So that year was like, I was dragging my heels. And like, if you had said to me about the retirement thing, then I was like, you know, it's what do I need to do? Because I've thought, you think about the guys who they put me up against, like unbeaten ranked guys who were like Ankalaev when he first came in, they were tipping for the be the next big thing, and then they're throwing me to him. And then you had Jimmy Crute, the exact same thing, Jamal Hill. So these guys, like, I'm going up against like some of the unbeaten prospects in the division, and I'm not getting any recognition. This fight is definitely going to give me some recognition.
And just finally from me, Paul, you mentioned recently that there are two things that can change a man's mind. A woman, the smell of gold. I want to know, what about the smell of haggis?
Oh, have you smelled haggis?
I think I might be fortunate enough to not have.
No, like, so for anybody that doesn't know what haggis is, it's basically, rather than throwing all the non-selected meats, like, you know, your prime rumps, all this kind of stuff, what we just grind all that up, add a wee bit of oats, fire it into some sheep bladder, and then we eat it. I know you're thinking like that's pretty bonkers, but then so's eating black pudding, that's even worse. So the smell of haggis isn't as nicest, but what we try and do to make it a wee bit better is we fire loads of spices in it, loads of herbs, and it tastes slightly better. But as you say about the two things that can change a man's mind, we all know a good partner can make you change your mind. And in that, my partner said to me, she was like, do you genuinely believe you can walk away from this sport and not do what you set your heart on doing? And the answer is no, I can't. I believe I've still got a wee bit of mustard left in me, you know, that ketchup bottle or that mustard bottle. There's that wee tiny bit at the bottom, and you're not going to buy a new one because mustard doesn't get used that much.
You put water in it.
You want to get it out, so that's I've still got a wee tiny bit left in me, so I'm going to. This is the last push, and if I can't do it on Saturday night, if I cannot beat Krylov and I can't stop him, then I shouldn't be in the UFC. I shouldn't be in the top 10. And then it's a case of, if I want to do this again, then I need to restart the whole process again. I've not got time. I'm 34. I'm losing my hair. I've got grey in my beard and my balls.
Good luck on Saturday night, Paul.
Paul, a lot of talk about.
Where we are.
Sorry.
Oh, you're there. Sorry, man.
A lot of talk about the golden era of UK MMA, and obviously the fan base very stimulated ahead of UFC London. But have you thought about what happens if it does turn out to be a huge win streak for the UK? Scotland will have huge wins. Wales will have huge wins. Birmingham, Liverpool, Wigan, Ipswich. I mean, we could be leaving this event with a whole new intensity to the fan base. Do you believe that can happen with this cast of fighters?
100%. Well, I tell you, I'm going to tell you, you know, I don't care. What's worse they can do? They've booked various events around the UK this summer. They have booked places like Liverpool, Manchester, Glasgow, London. They've booked them. And it all depends on what happens on Saturday night, what we're going to get. So there is going to be another UK. There's going to be a huge show for UK fighters again. So it's going to be a regular thing. And I'm probably going to go out here and I'm probably going to get my knuckles wrapped. Hey, who cares? What's the worst they can do? Pull me for the show.
What would it mean to you to go back to Scotland? We've talked a lot about the Roundtree fight, and you know it's something that you want to make right for a very long time. How much would that mean to you to get the opportunity to compete in Scotland again and make that right?
I feel like I didn't do my best. I never gave the Scottish fans what they deserved. They deserved to see a prime Paul Craig get in there, mentally focused, physically in the best condition I can be, going up against an opponent and getting the victory and getting a Paul Craig performance rather than what that fight was. Mentally, physically, I wasn't there. More mentally than physically. You can do all the physical stuff in the gym. You can lift weights. You can hit all your numbers. You can go into the sparring sessions and win every sparring session. But when it comes to that walk, and if you're not in your head, then you get what happened to me in Glasgow, lying on your back with the soles of your feet, everybody looking at them. Going up against a guy like Khalil Roundtree, we've seen it at the weekend. The guy is a savage. He's got power. He's got intensity. He's got something. He's got a bit of psycho about him, and he's a savage. So taking a loss for him, it's not a bad thing to receive, and it was a humbling experience because I'd lost in Vegas 209, and then I had then came to Glasgow far too early, and they two losses led me to London, led into like the rebirth of Paul Craig, because I needed that. I got to the UFC, I was very, very green, very, very inexperienced, mentally, physically, emotionally, all the things that go along with that. I was a kid. They two losses made me a better athlete and then made me be able to dig deeper and know exactly what I was losing when it came to UFC, because I was going to lose that come London.
Appreciate it, Paul. Nice.
No worries.
Paul, I'm pretty sure in September you'll be unbeaten for 3 years now, winning 4 of your last 5. What do you attribute the good run of form to?
There's a whole host of things. You could say it's down to one person, but it's not. It's like there's a whole team there. There's got my coach Brian Gallagher, who's always doing the research, always trying to improve me in areas. So even if I'm not in a camp, I'm still trying to improve. I'm still trying to improve jiu-jitsu. I'm still learning in the sport of jiu-jitsu. He's improving my stand-up. I work with a sports psychologist as well, who is improving the mental side of things, because a lot of people underestimate that walk that we have to make. It's scary. First time I had to make that, everything like the butterflies in my stomach, and that was with no pressure. The second time I had to make that, there was more pressure because it was a main event, or it was opened up the main card for 209. There was a lot of pressure on me, and that was consuming me. And then to go out in Glasgow and hear the love that the Scottish fans were giving me, it was overwhelming. So now I'm able to control that through loads of different techniques like visualization, like talking about stuff with him. So I've got that. One of the massive things as well was changing my conditioning, changing my nutrition, because there's loads of cogs in the engine to keep this going, and that's what it was. So working with like Adam to improve my conditioning and rather than doing the stuff that you enjoy doing, you know, when you enjoy going to the gym and you lift weights and you're like, this feels good. Let's add on more weight. I feel great. I'm feeling amazing. He's like, no, you're doing the maximal sprints 10 times. And I remember messaging him and being like, have you got this right? Because he kept just upping the number, and I was like, yeah, like, are you got this right? And he's like, are you questioning me? Like, just do the hard work and get it done. So it's a whole host of things, but it's crazy to think 3 years in this sport I've been unbeaten, and I'm still just chipping my way. What I'm looking for is another 3 years in the sport unbeaten, with a belt round my waist, and retiring and leaving this sport as influential in the UFC.
And obviously, you're now in a position where you could be fighting for a title in the near future, and you opened up on the loss to kill Leo Roundtree in Glasgow. Once, like, did you ever envisage then that you could be in the position that you are in now? Because I know that obviously you've now retracted this. You did set a timeline that you said by the time of 35 I'm out. So after, in the fallout of that loss to Khalil, did you think that it'd be possible to be in contention?
After the loss of Khalil, so it was a whole thing that happened. Getting to the UFC was my goal. Like, I had set the standard of, I need to get to the UFC. Once I got there and I got the victory, I didn't reset goals. I didn't assess where I was going, and I was just fighting. And when you're just fighting, you've not fueled by anything. There's losses, there's things that happen to you. I was in like a bit of a self-destruct mode there, because you doubt yourself. You doubt, like, many times I remember lying awake at night feeling like I don't deserve to be in the UFC. I felt like a fraud. And let's be honest, I was a fraud. I get beat off to high-level guys, but I was a fraud. I shouldn't have been there. And it made me work harder. It made me a better person. So if you'd say to me back then, after the Khalil loss, do you think you'll be a title contender? Do you think you'll be in the top 10? I'd have probably told you no. I would have lied to you. It would have been one of these things where I'd have said, oh, definitely, I'm going to be the world champion. But ultimately, in my heart of hearts, I probably wouldn't have believed it. So you look 3 years down the line for London, the last fight in London, and my life's totally changed. It's changed for the better. It's changed better for my family. It's changed better for me. It's changed better for my team, and I'm inspiring the next group of guys in my gym to be UFC level fighters.
And another question I just wanted to ask: are you now fully training as a fighter? Are you no longer teaching at all?
You can give 50% to like becoming a teacher, or 50% to be an athlete, and the two of them can fail. You can be a really shitty teacher, and the only people you're going to let down is kids who are depending on you to mold them into the next like young adult they can be. Or you can be 50% in a fighter and be getting hurt and be getting kicked out of the UFC because you're not pulling your weight. So it only made one decision to be a full-time fighter and 100% focus on becoming the best I can be. Like, that was one of the things as well. Do you want to be remembered for the guy that could have been something, or do you want to be remembered as a guy that was something? And I believe even now that I'm something. I'm something that's within this sport. I'm a title contender. I've got a few records. Like, right, I might be the second most submissions in the light heavyweight division, but I'm still in these rankings. People look at it and be like, Paul Craig, oh, he was a guy with the beard and the crazy triangles of submissions and the blue face paint. So, like, I'll always be remembered in this sport.
Cheers, man.
Paul,
how you doing, my friend?
Yeah, good, mate. How are you?
Are you calling it? You're like, hey, we'd be done. we've got a day.
Cheers. So last time we spoke, you were really excited about, obviously, the Gustafsson fight. Was it difficult mentally to move on from thinking about Gus, because you were very excited about that fight? Because as much as Nikita is obviously an incredibly tough opponent, he doesn't have the same name recognition as Gus. So was that tough mentally to switch up opponents like that?
It was, because we'd done a full fight camp for Gus. We did a full fight camp that came here like maybe 2 weeks before we were meant to fly out to Vegas, and the fight was cancelled. And when it just feels like it's just been ripped for you. And the UFC then phoned us up and said, listen, we know you deserve this fight, but do you want to wait, or do you want us to set you a new opponent? And we says, can we wait? Can we just play this one out, because we really want that? I remember he's the guy, the cover of the game, like computer game, it's him and it's John Jones, and he's the top European guy. He's like... So to pass that up and feel that slip out your hands, it's hard. But we don't get time in this sport to dwell and be like, oh, well, I'll just wait for another 6 months to see if Gus is going to be all right. And then it turns out he's not actually coming down to light heavyweight. I think he's staying at heavyweight. He's fighting Ben Rothwell, I think it is. So, like, we could have waited another 6 months for that fight and been, like, just sidelined for a whole year, rather than UFC said, listen, we know you deserve a big opponent. Would you be interested in fighting Krylov? Even though they've tried to set this fight up, like, 3 times prior to this. Like, we are happy for this fight. But if it's like a set of scales and who you want and who's the golden goose, then Gus has to be the golden goose, doesn't he? He's the guy he's a household name.
And last one, last fight you beat Jamal Hill and then went out for a few drinks with him afterwards. And you think you're going to go on the sesh with Nikita Krylov after this?
Definitely. See if Nikita can keep up with us. I think he enjoys the vodka as opposed to me. I enjoy the whiskey. So maybe we'll get him drunk in whiskey. Maybe he'll get me drunk in vodka. But it's one of the things, you know. See, after business is done, when it comes to fighting football, business is done. Let's go out and just celebrate, commiserate, whatever it is you want to do. And the vast majority of people I've fought against has been the same. I remember in Australia getting beat off Jamal. It was Jim Crute. And after he came up in a glass of wine and we shared like some stories, we shared how camp was, we shared all the kind of stuff that goes on, because we're like-minded people. Like, in a different situation, we'd be friends. Like, if we were in the same gym, we'd be mates, because we're all working towards the same goal. So for me, just to celebrate with Jamal Hill, me celebrating him, commiserating, it's a great thing. But I love Jamal and I love his team because we still keep in touch. The guys are planning to come out to Scotland and they're doing a bit of training. Jamal Hill's mum messaged me and was thanking me for it was cool. She messaged me and she's like, listen, Paul, I really want to thank you because you took Jamal to the next level. He was emotionally immature, like the same as we all are. We need to feel that loss so that we know how much we want victory. If you don't know a loss, you can't fully enjoy victory. And she showed me some love, and I still message Jamal and just want him to do the best, because if he wins, it looks good on me. And the same as if I win, it looks good in Jim Crute because they beat me, and if I win, it looks good in Khalil Roundtree. All the people who have beat me, it looks good in them. So hopefully we can have a couple of sherbets. I don't know how good his English is, but we'll find out on Saturday night.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, mate. Cheers.
No, I appreciate it.
Just one question in terms here.
Yeah.
Yeah. In terms of, you mentioned how you used to, not be confident in terms of you think you didn't deserve to be where you were. When did that change come across, and when did you start being more sure of your ability, and how did that affect just the way you fight?
It was 3 years ago in London. Like, I can tell you the moment, I took 15 minutes of taking an absolute pacing, or it was like 14 minutes something. At that point, it was like resurrection. You had to feel the lowest point in your life and feel that you're losing everything, feel that you've let down your family, feel that you've let down your kids. Like, my kids had to go into school on Monday morning and experience and have, my daughter's 15, and have young men, like her classmate, her peers, telling them that her dad lost. And that was a fuel for me. That was like, no, she doesn't deserve that. I chose to be an MMA fighter. She didn't choose me to be an MMA fighter. She shouldn't have to deal with my shit as well. So for me, it was about, that was a motivating factor. And I remember I'm just dropping these heavy shots in my guard. I remember my neck being pressed up against the cage, and it was there. It was like, fire up a submission. What's the worst that can happen? Rather than trying to fight out with my skill set, like trying to be, it's like trying to be a defender when you're a striker. It doesn't work. You've got to play your strengths, and for me, it was playing my strength of being a jiu-jitsu practitioner, and that's what I'm going to do, and that's what I've done for these last couple of fights. So it was that point there that I realised it was like the phoenix rising from the ashes. It was Fox, he's coming through the ashes, and we're getting a brand new version of me, and that was it then.
Thank you.
We're good. And that was because you'd said to them, they're like, no, you're done. Right, guys, have a nice day. Yeah, it's good. Do you understand it? Is there times where she says stuff and you're like,
yeah, well, she's from Aberdeen as well. So
oh, that's even worse, man. Does she speak?
She's actually listening to the live stream right now.
So they speak like, does she speak Doric? Because they speak Doric up Aberdeen. They speak an even weirder version of Scottish.
No, she thankfully doesn't have that.
No, she's
not going to bother me.
So they can song Scottish. So there's about 10 guys out here coming out to get you. Guys, have a nice day. How you doing, big guy?
Jack, here, I feel like there's been a countdown on for this moment since about 2015 when you won that IMAF title. I mean, how does it feel to finally be here? I mean, I'm sure you've pictured this in your head a million times. How does it feel to be finally here at UFC London?
Yeah, it felt like it'd never come. I think this is the third UFC London that I've been scheduled to fight on. So, third time's the charm, as they say. But I can't wait. Crowds are back. Hometown-ish crowd for me. I know the English will get behind me as well. But yeah, just busting to feel our atmosphere again.
I know the Welsh fans are some of the best in the world. I've managed to see in
The best.
I see the Ice Arena once upon a time. I'm imagining there's a strong contingent travelling to see this event.
Yeah, probably at least 1,000. And you know yourself, if there's 100 Welsh, it sounds like there's 10,000 of them. So there'll be plenty of Welsh flags, red t-shirts, plenty of noise. But I can't wait for them to come down and experience it. Three of my 4 fights have been behind closed doors. The one that was in Copenhagen, I took a couple of 100, but I think this one's going to be a different kettle of fish again. So I'm looking forward to being back in front of a crowd and having some rowdy Welsh here as well.
I draw a lot of parallels between you and Tom because both of you have your fathers in your corner, and of course, Shaky, huge part of the Welsh scene. Do you take on board how much a moment like this means to him, not only you ahead of these fights, or is that something you kind of have to block out until afterwards?
Yeah, I mean, afterwards is more of I sit back and look at it, and you know, there's pictures floating about. I was a chubby little teenager at one point, so there's probably plenty of people in Appley Town that didn't think, you know, me and him would be fighting in front of 20,000 and at the O2 Arena. But yeah, I try and block it out as much as I can beforehand. I know he can get a little bit overwhelmed and stuff for the fight, so I don't want to put any extra pressure on him. But yeah, it's a massive achievement for both of us. You know, we come from a small town in the Welsh Valleys. We used to train under a nightclub cellar. You know, now we've got this massive facility, and I'm in a position where I'm going to move on to fight the best guys in the world. So it'll make hell of a book or hell of a film in 10, 15 years.
Final one. There's those iconic pictures of the haircut you once had at the prom back in the day. How much did it take for you to shave your head here? I'd imagine it was a very difficult process for you.
To be honest, I've had a lot of messages asking me to bring that cut back. I've had people changing their profile pictures to my prom picture this week, and people sharing it on Facebook. And I did make a promise that I probably shouldn't have made after the last fight. That I will bring it back for one fight, maybe my retirement fight, if I can still grow hair at the time. I'll get the big blonde wig back.
Paul Craig was just in here, and he was kind of saying when he fought Jamal Hill and he beat him, he got a lot of messages from his team saying thank you, because at the time he was undefeated, and then he felt defeat for the first time. You're obviously in that camp where you haven't tasted defeat yet in your professional career. So do you agree with that statement that you can't really grow to your full potential without tasting defeat inside the octagon?
You know, Joe Calzaghe and Floyd Mayweather, they done pretty well on undefeated records. You know, I wouldn't argue with Joe that he didn't reach his full potential because he was undefeated. You know, there's lessons within every fight, win, lose or draw. You got to be real in this sport. One punch, or you zig when you should have zagged, and you can pick up a loss. So I'm a realist, and I know you can pick up a loss easily in this game. But at the same time, you know, Calzaghe did it, Mayweather did it. I got a long way to go before I'm on their level yet, but why can't I do it?
Then your opponent, obviously high-level grappler too, doesn't have a lot of submission victories, but yeah, I believe he's also a master in Sambo and all that kind of stuff over in Russia. So how would you compare your MMA grappling inside the octagon?
I think my MMA grappling is arguably some of it, or if not the best in the world. I don't think there's many, especially in the division, that mix in their ground and pound how I do. You know, I've come up from 10 years of age. Every grappling technique or session I've been involved in, there's always been that background thought of, we got to make this relevant for MMA, whether you're on the back or on top. So, you know, as good as he is, and he is a very good grappler, I'm sure you don't just get a master of combat in Sambo or whatever it's called, you know, if you're a scrub. So he's obviously very good, but I just feel like, you know, that area of my game is elite level. And if he does want to mix it on the ground, then I think, you know, I'll be able to show that to everyone.
And finally, did you ever get an explanation why Umar pulled out of your initial booking, Umar Nurmagomedov?
We just got told that he couldn't make it into London. You know, it was all within one text. I had a text to say, Umar's out, he can't get to London, you're fighting Valuev. So being how we are, I was like, all right, just send me another contract then.
Jack, just at the back here. You know, in your last fight, you had to go through changes of opponents. So, you know, when you heard that Umar was out of this one, what was your reaction?
It wasn't so bad with this one because it wasn't 10 days before like a lot of the others. I mean, we hadn't even started camp at this stage, so it was a little bit like, you know, here we go again. But you know, thankfully Timur has even with all that's going on in the world, has managed to obviously get over here, and it's fight week now. You know, I hope that's wood, touch wood, he doesn't pull out, and I get to fight a guy who I was, you know, scheduled to fight from 10 weeks ago. But I'm sure me and Umar will meet down the line. Both undefeated, both look like we're on our way to the top. So it'll happen at some point. It'll just be a bigger fight, maybe a main event in Wales or Russia. Who knows?
How do you compare the two matchups?
I think they're very different. You know, Umar's obviously a very strong grappler. He's got that Khabib mauling style. No doubt Timur can obviously grapple, but I think he prefers to stand and strike. The camp he comes from, you see that similar style with a lot of the guys over there. So they're both very good, but they're both very different. You know, you couldn't game plan for one the same as the other. You know, they're very different.
And having to switch up opponents, kind of getting used to that, has that taught you anything about yourself?
Yeah, it's taught me that I can't mentally be broken by external factors. You know, I've had guys pull out on 5 days' notice. I've had opponent changes in cage where I was at 1 day's notice, and even back to my pro debut, I had a change of opponent the morning of the fight. So I know I'm very mentally strong, and it's just taught me to sort of focus on myself in fight camp. You gotta know your opponent's strengths and weaknesses, but you focus too much on one guy and they pull the rug from under you at the last minute, then it's no good. So as much as I'm aware of what he does well, I just focus on myself and getting better and being in the best condition and the best, you know, technically that I can be.
And how do you see this fight going down?
As long as we're both in there, I think from the minute it starts to the minute it finishes, it's going to be fast, explosive. You know, he brings the fight, I'm going to bring the fight to him. But ultimately, I want to put him away. I've had 2 decisions in my last 2 fights, and I don't like to be known as a guy who wins by decision. I want to put him away, and I'm sure he wants to put me away as well. So it's goal and makings of a good one, that's for sure. Jack?
Sorry, go on. I was just going to say, obviously, you and Cory, both Welsh fighters on this card. You know, would it mean a lot for you to be able to, you both take away the victories on Saturday and bring the UFC to Wales?
Yeah, look, the more success every Welsh fighter has, the more chance we got of convincing Dana to find us a venue in Wales. So me and Cory get 2 big wins here. You know, you got Mason on the roster. You got a handful of guys now who are on their way through that could possibly be in the UFC within the next 12 to 18 months. So the more of us, the better. And obviously, the more success we have, the more chance. So yeah, of course, I'm rooting for Cory as well. Big win from both of us. Who knows, 12 months. Maybe we can pull him down to the mortar point or something like that.
Hey Jack, how you doing, bro?
Well, good, Abs. How are you? Good to see you in the media room.
We made it, baby. Uncle Richard, how are you?
How are you, Abs? All good, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Obviously, a lot of us here, a lot of us in the UK, we know how good you are, Jack. And a lot of people in America now will be starting to look at you and think, yeah, this guy is the real deal. Do you feel like this fight in particular is a big moment for you, like a breakthrough moment? Not just in terms of breaking the rankings, but just in your career, this is like a big moment.
Yeah, 100%. You know, when I came up in cage, I was always known as this guy with a mental following. Wherever I fought in Wales, London, Belgium, there was always hundreds and thousands of Welsh coming to watch me. And I get the UFC and I have 3 of my 4 fights behind closed doors. So I think this will show to everyone how big of a star I am or can be over here. And it's a perfect type of fight. Timur's in a very similar situation to me. He's got a lot of guys riding eye on him. He's got this hype around him. Incredible record, incredible resume. So if I go out there and take him out like how I think I can, then people are going to realise the level I'm at.
And do you feel that Timur is your biggest challenge so far in the UFC?
Yeah, without a doubt. Skill wise, record wise, he's a tough Russian. They're all tough from that area of the world. So 100%.
And just on a side note, about 8 weeks ago, I was saying to you that, yeah, I'm going to try and do this weight cut with you. So this morning I weighed 139 pounds. But I'm trying to have a bit of fun the next few days. So can you let me off, or do I need to make this weight with you?
136 Friday morning, 8 o'clock, Ab. So I win the bet.
Good luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
Jack, this is your fourth fight in a row where you've had a replacement fighter come in. You know, you've very much shown you're a company guy, and you're undefeated on a 4-fight UFC win streak. What do you need to do to get a ranked opponent? We feel like we've been caught as fans calling for you to get ranked opponents for a long, long time. So do you think next up will be a ranked opponent after this fight?
I mean, I hope so. I thought it would have been last time, and then obviously we had the late replacement and everything. I mean, that doesn't always help. You get booked against. I mean, my last fight was booked against the other Nurmagomedov, and I think a win there probably would have pushed me towards the rankings. But with the pullout and stuff, it's going to be hard for him to rank me off the back of a guy who's come off the Ultimate Fighter. But at the same time, I can only fight who's in front of me on the day. So fingers crossed. This is the one. This is the one to finally get the last Welsh guy to be ranked was the Welsh GOAT Brett Johns. So fingers crossed now I can follow in his footsteps after this fight.
And obviously Brett had a lovely win recently. How is the mood in camp at the moment? Surely it's in a good place, especially with Brett's victory.
It's been brilliant. You know, since after Christmas, Brett and Scott have been in camp. Myself, we've got a shared load of guys fighting next weekend, amateur guys. So the morale after Brett won is just giving everyone that boost to finish camp on an eye. And I'm looking to do the same thing here. You know, I say it again, we might only be from a small little town, but we got so much talent coming through the gym at the minute. And I generally believe in like 5 years' time when all the youngsters turn over and start climbing those pro ranks that there'll be a UFC Wales every year. It won't be a case of can we bring them to Wales. It'll be a case of what date's the Welsh show going to be this year.
That's brilliant to hear. And last question. One thing that helps with getting those ranked opponents is a call out. I know it's not normally your style, but have you got a name in mind who you might call out?
Yeah, I got a couple. I think I'm going to have to call because I just seen Bisping on the BT show saying he's going to slap me if I don't. And I don't want to slap off Bisping. So I got a couple in mind. I mean, we'll see how the fight goes, how it plays out. But it'll be respectful like I always am. But, you know, it won't be... it may not be as controversial as Paddy's. Some of Paddy's might work. But I've got a couple of names in mind.
Nice one. Cheers, mate. All the best.
Jack, down here, you said that you've got a couple call-outs in mind. So would it be fair to say that you've mapped out the ideal 2022 in terms of frequency, competition, and the competition that you face?
Yeah, I want to be active and I want to be going up, not back. You know, I don't want to be fighting guys who have less UFC experience than me. I want to be fighting these ranked guys. And I want to be fighting guys that obviously push me towards the top of the division. So 3 fights in this year would be ideal. And if I can end the year in the rankings or even in the top 10, I mind the top 15, then in my eyes, that'd be a successful year.
Cheers, man. Thank you.
Lads and ladies.
Seat right here and use this microphone.
Hello, everybody.
Alexander, right here in front of you. Just tell me how the emotions have been going into this fight week. You've headlined here before, but to have another main event, your 6th in the UFC, how does this one feel?
В каком ты эмоциональном состоянии находишься сейчас перед этим боем, будучи на 6-м месте?
Я спокоен, я уверен в себе, настроен на победу.
I'm very confident and I'm quite sure in my win.
What has the preparation been like? I know Dana White said they wanted to get you here earlier, and there was, you know, some conflict about when would you actually come out to this fight week, if you could actually make it. Can you just walk through things on your side?
Они знают, что UFC пыталась тебя доставить сюда немного раньше, но ты не захотел и полетел только как обычно. Можешь подробнее рассказать, почему, как ты все шел?
Ситуация была в том, что я переболел ковидом примерно за 1,5 месяца до боя, и мне необходимо сделать был полноценный лагерь. UFC же хотела меня сюда привезти примерно за 3 недели до боя, то есть к этому времени я только провел 2-недельный лагерь, и мне необходимы были мои спарринг-партнеры, полная моя команда и зал, к которому я привык, чтобы закончить лагерь. Но в итоге мы были уверены, что мы в любом случае доберемся, и так получилось.
The case is that a month and a half before the fight, I got COVID second time. So to prepare myself, I need a full camp, and I couldn't spare even a week without a preparation with the full team, with the sparrings and everything. We're very grateful to the UFC that they're trying to help us to get to the fight earlier, but I couldn't. But we were quite sure that we'll be able to get here, and it turned out to be okay.
Yeah, with having COVID and then everything that's going on at home, was there any thought of maybe it would be a better idea to maybe pass on this fight and fight at a later date when the circumstances maybe weren't as crazy?
С ковидом и с тем, что происходит на родине, не было мыслей не подраться, а потом драться, когда все будет спокойно.
В первую очередь я профессионал, поэтому считаю, что я должен делать свою работу. Я просто ее делал и надеялся на то, что все-таки поединок сложится, я попаду сюда, в Лондон. Я к этому отнесся профессионально, и независимо ни от ковида, ни от чего, я подготовился в наилучшей форме.
Even in hard times, you have to be professional. And I was professional. I was doing everything from my part, training, preparing, and getting here to make a fight for the fans and for the UFC. So I have to be professional in the circumstances.
Credit to you for that. What do you just think of the matchup with Tom? Obviously, he's a guy who has some hype behind him right now, but you're obviously the biggest name, most high-profile opponent he's fought so far. So, do you think he's ready for this level? Do you think you're going to be able to show, with a dominant victory, that maybe he's not?
Как ты, что ты думаешь о Томе Аспинале? За ним сейчас идет большой хайп-трейн, но он не дрался ни с кем крупным. Что ты считаешь, в каком месте он, что ты о нем думаешь, как о бойце?
На самом деле я следил за Томом Аспиналем практически с самого начала появления его в UFC. Одна из его крупных побед – это победа над Андреем Орловским. В этом плане я вижу, что он как боец готов находиться в топе UFC достаточно долго. И я люблю такие бои подстегивают на меня на развитие, на то, чтобы развивать свои навыки. Поэтому независимо от того, на какой строчке он сейчас, это очень классный бой для меня.
He wasn't unknown fighter to me. I was watching him, and he have big names that he beat. He beat Andrei Arlovsky, and I was watching him during the fight. And after this, he was very interesting opponent, very hard one. And I love this kind of fight when the young and coming and powerful opponent coming. It forces me to evolve above myself, and this kind of fights is my favorite.
In a previous interview earlier this month, Tom said that he doesn't need just power to beat you. He has a lot of tools. He can beat you on the ground. He can beat you standing. He can beat you grappling. So when you watch him fight, what specifically stands out about Tom Aspinall's skill set?
Пару месяцев назад он сказал, что он может тебя побить не только за счет своих сильных ударов или скорости, что у него достаточно, скажем так, способов побить тебя и в стойке, и в клинче, и на полу. Что ты можешь на это ответить? Какие твои сильные стороны будут тебе нужны, чтобы победить его?
Вы знаете, одно дело говорить, а другое дело делать. Думаю, что сейчас говорить бессмысленно. На моей стороне огромное количество проведенных боев и показанных шоу. На его стороне не так много боев, которые длились достаточно мало. Поэтому в этом плане я показал уже намного больше в октагоне. Мне просто нужно быть самим собой, чтобы противостоять ему.
Now we see he can talk the talk. We will see we'll be able to walk the walk. So from my side, I really think that experience, and I showed a lot of fights and the performances in the UFC. He didn't have many fights that last for long enough. So we will see how he will be fighting against one of the best, and we will see what, let's say, his bright sides and my bright side. But my brightest side is just be me and fight him my way.
Alexander, the last time you fought here, you got a good reception because you saved the card against Fabricio Verdum, stepping up in short notice. But this time, you'll be stepping on enemy territory against a Brit. What type of reception are you expecting from the British fans?
В прошлый раз тебя встречали очень хорошо, потому что ты помог спасти шоу с Вердумом, пришел на коротком уведомлении. Сейчас ты будешь драться с любимчиком публики, с британцем, и это
На самом деле это классно. В любом противостоянии должен быть кто-то хороший, кто-то плохой. Сейчас, наверное, роль плохого персонажа буду играть я, но это также подстегивает меня, это часть игры, и это только привлекает внимание к бою, поэтому очень рад, что есть такое противостояние, что за счет него публике будет интересно смотреть наш бой.
There is always heel and face in this business, and right now I'm the heel, but I'm happy with it because if the fight have attention, have story, have a power behind it, I'm very happy. And it's always great when fans are very, let's say, interested in the fight. They want to see me losing, they want to see him winning. That's always good for business. I'm happy with it.
Alexander? Tom Aspinall is a fighter who I believe has never gone past the second round. Yourself, you have been to many 3, 4, 5 round fights. Do you think that this will be a massive factor in the fight on Saturday night?
У Тома не очень много боев, которые прошли дальше второго раунда. У тебя было много и 5, и 3-раундовых боев. Как ты думаешь, это будет сильно иметь значение в 5-раундовом бою?
Конечно, это будет иметь огромное значение, потому что я вспоминаю свои самые первые затяжные бои, и ты просто появляешься в ощущениях, типа, что это такое, что это было. Это очень неожиданно зачастую бывает, несмотря на то, что мы все проходим это на тренировках, и Том Аспиналл, я уверен, тоже. Но ощущение поздних раундов в бою – это нечто иное. Поэтому, конечно, думаю, мой опыт в последних раундах, он будет играть мне на руку.
Actually, when you asked the question, I've remembered my first 5-round fights. It was quite uncomfortable. I really pity Tom, frankly, because you can train all the way before you fight 5 rounds. You don't feel the feeling. So I really think experience will work here.
Also, I wanted to mention, you've been in London a couple of times now. What do you like about London? There must be a couple of things that you like about here.
На самом деле, в эту поездку мне удалось больше погулять, чем прошлую поездку. Я как-то больше провел в отеле, хотя был в этом же месте. В этот раз я уже был в центре Лондона, посмотрел Биг Бен, посмотрел Гринвич парк и Дворец Королевы. Достаточно аутентично все выглядит, мне тут очень понравилось. Хорошая погода, зелень. У нас еще пока в России снег, здесь уже зелень, поэтому очень заряжаюсь положительными эмоциями, гуляя тут.
Last time I didn't had a chance to look through the city, and I've only during this trip I've managed to be in the Buckingham Castle, watch the Big Ben, some other sightseeing. Everything is very beautiful, especially because it's almost summer here. Everything is green. Back in Russia, it's still snowing and it's very cold, so it's nice change.
And just finally, Alexander, if you can get through Tom Aspinall on Saturday night, how do you see the rest of the year going for you?
Если ты побьешь Аспиналя на выходных, как ты думаешь, как продлится дальше твоя карьера?
Она в любом случае будет искрометной, и я еще поборюсь за пояс.
It will be quite exciting anyway, and I will fight for the belt for sure.
Spasibo.
Thank you.
Alexander at the back here. You mentioned COVID, and of course now there's war, and the roof of the O2 was damaged last month. With all of these distractions, have you found it hard to focus on the goal in terms of mental preparation?
Учитывая, что у тебя был ковид, потом случилась война, и сейчас еще и даже крышу в О2 чинят, что, кстати, для нас новость, для всех. Тебя это сильно отвлекает от боя?
На самом деле это отвлекало поначалу, но затем я просто отключил свои соцсети и сконцентрировался просто на подготовке, потому что если читать новости, если вникать в события, действительно голова взрывается, это мешает сконцентрироваться на подготовке. Но сейчас я абсолютно изолирован от того, что происходит снаружи, и сконцентрирован на том, чтобы показать в субботу хороший бой.
The preparation for the fight is always hard, even without all this. And the only way how I was able to prepare, I turned off all my social media and networks and everything, and I stopped reading any news. It was the only way for me to prepare. Otherwise, I won't be able to prepare, do anything on training. So it's very hard, but being professional and to exclude yourself from all the informational fields is the only way to prepare for the fight.
And the state of the heavyweight division right now is kind of up in the air because we don't know what's going to happen with Francis Ngannou. He could be out for a while. He's got contract negotiations still. Are you expecting to see an interim title maybe later this year?
Учитывая сложную ситуацию в тяжелом весе, непонятную ситуацию с Франсисом Нганоу и его контрактом, ожидаешь ли ты, что в тяжелом весе случится бой за временный пояс в этом году?
Думаю, что это было бы логично. Думаю, что временный пояс немножко бы сдвинул ситуацию. Вопрос в том, кто бы за него дрался, потому что у него уже был шанс подраться за пояс. Кто будет сейчас, то Иваса только появился в топ-3, неожиданно для всех. Поэтому в целом наблюдаются смутные времена для тяжелого веса, но тем интереснее, тем больше будет вариантов вызовов и больше будет появляться новых имен. Поэтому логично было бы сделать пояс, но пока непонятно, кто за него будет драться.
I think interim title will be quite logical decision now because we frankly don't know what will be. But the only question is who will fight for this interim title. Gain lost, and Tuivasa only now entered as a third. And right now, it's a very dark times, even for the UFC heavyweights.
Thank you.
Alex, I'm just wondering, there was a lot of concern, as we mentioned earlier, about whether you would be able to get here to London. Did you have to make special arrangements to get here? Was it a bit of an ordeal to get to London, or was everything plain sailing as usual?
Мы знаем, что были трудности с тем, чтобы попасть сюда. Вообще все были не уверены, долетишь ты до Лондона. Можешь ты рассказать, какие трудности ты встретил, чтобы сюда добраться? Были ли какие-то специальные вещи предприняты для того, чтобы ты сюда попал?
Ну, в общем-то, могу сказать, что нет, кроме общего нервного состояния того, что меня могут где-то не пропустить на каком-то из контролей паспортном либо у нас, либо тут у вас. Ну и плюс сам полет был достаточно долгий, то есть мне пришлось лететь не напрямую из Москвы, а через Абу-Даби, то есть полет занял в сумме около практически суток мы летели, но все было комфортно, все было хорошо, везде все мы прошли идеально, поэтому, по большому счету, ничем не отличался перелет, кроме как от того, что из этого времени я мог бы долететь бы до Америки и обратно.
It was a concern for me too. We were afraid would be able to pass Russian customs, any other customs, because as normal people, we have no idea what's happening to the customs, the rules. Every day comes new laws and stuff. The only difference was for me right now that I flew almost for a day before the 4 hours before. So usually I would be here in 4 hours, but I spent in the flight same time that I was to go to US and back.
And is there any issue with getting home now? Will it be the same thing, a day of flights, or you're looking something similar?
Yes, probably yes.
Yeah, for sure, yes. We have the same tickets. It's 24 hours.
Alexander down here. I believe next month will be the 13th anniversary of you starting your mixed martial arts professional journey. Talk about how that's been for you so far, because obviously you've been a world champion in another promotion, but how's the career panned out, and how's the UFC career panned out for you so far?
Он говорит, что скоро годовщина, как ты стал профессиональным бойцом, ты уже был чемпионом в других организациях. Как ты чувствуешь, эта годовщина, она тебя подталкивает, чтобы ты, 13 лет, как ты стал профессионалом. Да? Соответственно, подталкивает ли это тебя к желанию к еще одному поясу? Как ты видишь свою карьеру?
Все это время, как я попал в UFC, я все это время, естественно, думаю о поясе UFC. В целом, когда я начинал свою карьеру и развивался как молодой боец, я всегда знал, что в конечном итоге я окажусь именно здесь, в UFC, и буду бороться за пояс. Мне бы очень хотелось поконкурировать, но надо сказать, что конкуренция здесь очень серьезная, и приходится даже спустя много-много-много лет выступлений, много-много лет занятий спортом, ежедневно расти, работать над собой. Только так возможно добраться до этого пояса, поэтому для меня это просто очень большой вызов, очень большая работа над собой каждый день, которую я стараюсь проделывать.
Oh no, no, you're right. I completely look. I completely understand. It's like the same reason why I didn't put anything to Molly. Yes, just tell him. Yeah, look, just so you understand. Yeah, no worries. Just let him know that. Look, I want you for the son. Yeah, he's 11 why didn't ask. Oh yeah, mate, I don't take it personally. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Part of me said, part of me was like, do I message him and then say, like, might want to get yourself for days because he's doing shape. Not me. Yeah, it's very bad.
Sticking to 15 minutes and then we're going up.
Hey, Paddy. Good feelings this week. I mean, did you dream that this would one day happen for you, that you'd be fighting in London, the O2, such a prominent place on the card?
Yeah, I knew this would happen. No, what, just before we get started, if there's any reporters from the Sun in here, don't dare ask me a question. Don't put me in that rag of a newspaper. Just thought I'd get that in. Yeah. End of. But yeah, I knew this was going to happen, lad. Knew this was coming. I've envisioned all this, lad. I can't wait to get my hand raised on Saturday, and when there's pandemonium in the crowd, it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, man. I mean, like, and this week, I mean, do you feel that attention? Can you feel your star power growing more and more? I mean, even just outside of this week, everything that's been going on since the debut?
Yeah, well, as I say, I've just took everything in my stride. I knew all this was coming in my future. It's only going to get bigger and better, lad, and it's going to continue to do so.
Yeah, we had Kazula in here earlier, and he had some not so nice things to say. Said you're overrated, a lot of holes in your game. I mean, do you take any of this stuff seriously at this point, or do you think every opponent going forward is going to have something like this to say?
Every opponent's going to say something like that. He's got to try and make himself feel good about something, and because he knows I'm better than him wherever the fight goes. Doesn't matter if we're wrestling, we're doing jiu-jitsu, or we're striking. I'm better than him wherever the fight goes. All he's got in this fight is a puncher's chance. So mentally for him, he needs to say, oh, he's not good at this and he's not good at that, because he knows I'm going to punch his head in.
Yeah, and as your star power gets bigger, you're going to have more critics, right, and more haters. And maybe someone will say this week they see what happened yesterday with you and Ilya, and they'll say, is Paddy focused on the fight? Is his priorities in the right place? What would you say in response to that?
Who's that? Oh, hand sanitizer boy? Is that who you mean? Oh, yeah, that's his name from now on, lad. Don't refer to him as his name, lad. His name's hand sanitizer because it got bounced off his head. But I don't concern myself with none of that, lad. He wanted to come at me and try and act hard, and he got put in his place, lad. I was stood there on my own, and there was about 6 of them, and he done nothing. If he wanted to do something, he would have come round the table and tried to have a fight with me, but he didn't. He stood on the other side of the table because he knows what's good for him.
Were you surprised in the moment that happened? Like, did it take you a second to realize what was going on and maybe get your guard up a little bit in terms of realizing where you were? And how many people were around?
Like, as soon as he come out of them double doors, lad, he snarled me. You know what I mean? So I looked at him and said, what? And then he walked towards me and I said, what's happening, lad? And then as he got close to me, he like swiped a slap at me. You know what I mean? And obviously, lad, if you raise your hand to me, I'm going to do my hand and not being able to fight and earn me money on the weekend. So I stepped back and picked the hand sanitizer up and bounced it off his head. And then he swung a dig, what I moved out of the way of with a bit of ease. He's just got a little bit of small man syndrome, lad. You know what I mean? He's only 5'7", isn't he? So just try to leave the little men to it.
Is that something that goes through your head in the moment? Like, hey, I have to do whatever I have to get myself in this situation, but I can't do something that could compromise the fight.
Yeah, I can't let something like that happen, lad. I can't start throwing punches and get cut off the card or break my hand hitting someone. You know what I mean? Especially someone so meaningless. You know what I mean? Who even is he? Seriously, who is Mr. Hand Sanitizer? Like, he's a no one. He used my name for followers and to gain some publicity. And he put a video up and made himself look like a right tool.
So fair to say, even if he wins in spectacular fashion, you're not interested in that fight?
He's not going to win, though. I know full well. I know Jai. I know Jai's going to knock him out and send him crawling back down to the featherweight division.
So if you win your fight the way you're hoping, what do you feel this leads to?
Whatever I want. I don't need to call anyone out or mention anyone's name because everyone talks about me. That's how this works.
Thanks, Paddy.
Paddy, just a quick one right here. You were talking about how you always knew this was coming and you're feeling your popularity rise. But when I landed here from the States, I got into my cab. The cab driver asked me what I was here for. I said UFC, and he immediately just said, "I don't watch it, but tell me about Paddy the Baddy. I've heard of him." So what about you draws people that don't even like this sport, but they know who you are and they want to watch you fight specifically?
I'm the boy, aren't I, lad? You know, I put bums on seats, lad, and I put people want to watch the telly, lad, when I'm on it. I'm just one of them people, lad. People say they're drawn to me, and it's just because I'm the way I am. I don't try and act like nothing. I'm just me. What you see is what you get, and a lot of people can relate to that. I don't try and put on no big act and try and be anything I'm not. Like a lot of people used to think that, but once they watch me podcast and watch me vlogs, they realise that this is just me and this is who I am. And if you don't like it, leg it. If you like it, sound, I like you. You know what I mean?
Paddy, just in front of you. Molly McCann was in here earlier, and I asked her about the whole thing, and I said, if I wish you'd be there to back you up, she wished she was there, and joked that this is what happens when we leave you by ourselves for 2 seconds.
It is, lads, funny. My videographer weren't even there to video it all, lads, so we need to try and get the CCTV. But, yeah, I was on my own, lad, stood there, and if they were there, it's a good job they wasn't there, though, to be honest, because Ellis and Adam would have been putting people at kip. Have you seen the size of them all? They're all about that big, lad. You know what I mean? If Ellis or Adam got their hands on them, lad, they'd all be snoozing in the reception.
And finally, Paul Craig was here, and he said that believes that there's cards also in Liverpool, Manchester later this year. Have the UFC talked to you about a Liverpool card? And obviously, I'm guessing you'd be in the main event, right?
I'm guessing so. You know what I mean? I'm guessing it would be. No, they haven't spoke to us about anything like that. The only thing about Liverpool, lad, is the only venue really, apart from a stadium, is the Echo Arena. And I was selling that out on my own, off my own back with just Cage Warrior's name attached to it. Never mind the UFC name. So the Echo Arena is far too small now. The O2 Arena is too small when I'm on the card. Said this months ago, lad, you just need a bigger stadium with me on it. So West Ham's ground or Tottenham's ground or something like that. Anfield or Goodison. I wouldn't even mind fighting in Goodison, lad. Good Al Woodison, you know what I mean? I wouldn't mind fighting there.
That'd be the only good thing about Goodison Park.
Yeah, it would, lad, and it'd be a dream come true for Molly, but I know for a fact over the next 3, 4, 5 years, Anfield's happening. It's going to happen. I want them to wait till the stand's finished, then it's another 10,000 there, you know what I mean? And then we have like the biggest gate the UFC's ever seen.
Just one more, sorry. I saw you on the pitch in one of your vlogs with a Champions League mic in your hand. What was that like? Just, kind of surreal. Obviously, you wanted a big night for Liverpool and a big night for you.
Yeah, it was surreal, lad. It was unbelievable being on the side of the pitch. We were in there hours before kick-off as well. And it's like being in a church, lad. It's just dead airy. It was mad. My score prediction was fucking way off, though, wasn't it, lad? Said we win 3-0 and we got beat 1-0.
Paddy, over here, sorry.
Yes, PT. What's happening, fella?
I wanted to know, I was speaking about this with Molly earlier as well. A lot of people see you, right, say from the US, they think you've just popped up overnight. But you have this whole career beforehand. Like you popped up in 2014. You were very well known in Liverpool and in European MMA in general. And there was a point, like as strong as your belief is now, in 2016, I believe it was, maybe 2017, around the Soren back fight, when we didn't know if this moment would ever happen. We didn't know if your future actually involved fighting. Do you ever think about those moments and how far you've actually come since then and what you've had to fight through to get to this moment?
Yeah, I do think back at them moments to realise like what I've actually come through to get here. A lot of people think, oh, it's just a fight, and it's mad, lad. Some people who've only watched UFC think I'm a striker. I'm far from it. But I've been fighting since I was 16 and fighting professional since I was 17. You know what I mean? I became a world champion on Cage Warriors at the age of 21 when I wasn't taking nothing seriously. I was still out partying 2 nights a weekend, having 2 hours sleep and then going to the gym on a Monday morning. Back then I was just a fighter, where now I'm an athlete. And it's mad when I look back now because I think, I wish I wouldn't have lost them fights, especially like the back one where they had him in the rear naked choke and my right hand was cabbaged, so I couldn't finish the choke. If I would have had the other arm under, he would have went asleep. But when I look back now, it's a good job I lost that fight because I had to go through them tough times. I had proper battles with mental health and depression and was waking up crying every morning, going to bed crying. And then I had to come through the other side of that to realise the opportunities I had and think about my family and my mates and my missus and all them that do 9 to 5 jobs and the opportunities that I've got in front of me. I had to realise what I had. So from after that, when I got back after getting me wrist fixed again, I just knuckled down, and I think everyone's seen that because went on a 3-fight win streak with 3 first-round finishes, and it's about to be a 4-fight win streak with 4 first-round finishes. Like, without them tough times, I wouldn't be where I am to this day. It's that simple.
It had to prepare you as well for this kind of fame because, like, you know, the dogs in the street knew who you were when you were 19, and now obviously you're a huge commodity. As Jose said, taxi drivers ask me. I have people in Dublin asking me about you constantly. Like, has that moment, the fame that you had at Cage Warriors, has that prepared you for this star you're having now?
Yeah, it has, because when I was 21 and I won that belt, I was acting a bit like Billy Big Bollocks. You know what I mean? I was going around like, oh, I'm the boy. This, you know what I mean? I thought I was better than I was. Thought I was some sort of celebrity. I had all people clinging on to me because I could get them into nightclubs and I could get them things. You know what I mean? So I needed that fall from grace, to be honest, when I was a bit younger. I needed to realise, and I did. And now I just keep my circle small, my close friends close, my missus, my family, my gym family. You know what I mean? It's just, as I say, without all that back then, the realisation, because when I won that belt, I thought I was someone, mate. I thought I was king of the world, lad. And then you lose it and you realise who the real ones are. So without them times, I wouldn't be where I am today. It's as simple as that.
Oh yeah, I think a lot of people who watched you coming up were a bit, you know, disappointed there was no crowd for the old debut, and now we're going to have a packed out O2, and we're going to obviously hear the famous entry. Like, I mean, how much time do you have to put into preparing for that rather than the fight itself? Because it's a big moment.
It's a big moment, but that's just me. That's me when I walk in the gym every morning. A song comes on, I just rap every lyric to every song or dance to a dance tune. You know what I mean? I can't help it. That's just the way I am. That's just me. And that's why I always say it annoys me when MMA fighters put on these acts and try and be like WWE wrestlers. Like, be real, be who you are. That's what I do, and everyone loves me for it. And if they don't, they hate me, but they still saying it on and want to watch me, don't they?
Nice one, Paddy. Cheers.
Paddy, just down over here. What's happening, lad?
Yes, lad, it's happening.
I just wanted to ask you about like your weight class at the moment. Obviously, you're fighting at lightweight. I've been watching your vlogs on YouTube, and I think you've made a few references there about, you know, how you're really trying to stay disciplined, so you make weight and trying to, you know, cut down on the binge eating, just the unhealthy eating, really. But then I know that you used to fight at featherweight too, so you're saying that it's increasingly difficult at the moment. How on earth did you make that weight for featherweight before?
Well, that's the thing, lad. I used to kill myself, absolutely kill myself to make 145. Like, everyone here's seen the cliff when I'm sick in the cage. You know what I mean? The night before, I'd cut 19 pounds in a bath and a sauna and stuff. You know what I mean? That morning when I had to go, I had the extra 2 hours to go and make weight. I couldn't get in and out the sauna. I got physically pulled in the sauna and pulled out the sauna. I'll never forget Adam saying, if he dies, it's not on me. You know what I mean? And when I fought Nada, cut like 7.7 kilo overnight, which is about 16, 17 pound. And I got a DEXA scan that day. And I went and got another DEXA scan the other day, and they cross-referenced them and compared them over, and he said, if a doctor would have looked at that DEXA scan, he wouldn't have let me fight the next day. I was 0.2 kilo away from acute kidney failure and 1 kilo water weight away from dying. Wow. And I had the testosterone in my body of a 2-year-old boy. And I still went and done 5 rounds the next night. I never got finished. And I got hit with some big shots. That's why I just know I'll never get finished, lad. Because now I'm fighting much healthier. When I fought at Rosa, I woke up on the Monday morning 77.7 kilo and fought at 65.8. This week I think I woke up at 76 kilo dead. You know what I mean? I was 165 this morning. I don't have to struggle to make weight anymore. I don't have to kill myself. But the worst lying MMA fight I can ever say is, I'm going to keep my weight down after this fight. I'll be honest, lad, I've said it every time, but this time I'm not. I'm going to get fat again. I can't wait. It's going to be boss.
So after your first fight, after your debut, we got the news that you got a 7-figure deal with Barstool Sports. I just want to ask you, how does that make you feel that after just one fight you get something like that? And I'm not going to start asking you the details of the 7
lad,
figures.
Barstool's the best company in the world, lad. They can't... Barstool was made for me, and I was made for Barstool. Seriously, when I went into that office, I was just like, this is me. this is me. You know what I mean? It's just a company what epitomises me, and I can't thank them enough. Everyone over there, like, it's the biggest. I don't reckon anyone's ever had a sponsorship deal after one fight like that, and it's going to be a great partnership. It's going to grow into it even more and more. I can't wait to go back over to the States after this fight and get some more stuff done with Barsteels just to thank them.
With a 7-figure deal after just one fight, how do you stop that from being a distraction? Because we all know, like, it's easier to wake up out of bed when you've not got that much money. But when you've got that kind of contract, how do you stay motivated?
I don't do this for money or fame, lad. I do this for legacy. I do this to prove that I'm the best out there. I've never done it for anything else. And I'm a very modest person, lad. Even though I'm getting paid the 7-figure deal over 2 years, lad, if a can of Coke is 80 pence in one shop and £1 in another shop, I'm walking the extra 5 minutes to that shop for the can of Coke for 80p. I'm just like that.
And just a final one from me. Fighting aside, we know you're a massive Liverpool Football Club fan. I just want to ask you, from the current team at the moment, if you could pick a five-a-side team, who would go in your five-a-side team?
Five-a-side team, yeah. Go on then. Got to be obviously Alisson, Van Dijk. Alisson, Van Dijk. Phil Babb. Alisson, Van Dijk, Fabinho, Salah and Luis Diaz, because he's an absolute phenomenon. That man has turned up and absolutely ripped the Premier League apart already. He's going to be some player in, lad.
Good luck on Saturday.
We don't need luck here, lad. Don't worry about that.
In terms of that social media clip with Topuria, it feels like you've really controlled the narrative of that a little bit by posting in the way that you've done. Is there a part of you as like a kind of a businessman almost that thinks this is good for you in the future because you're building potential fights down the line? People will be a lot more interested for you potentially fighting Topuria down the line than they ever would have been without that moment. Is there a part of you that thinks these kind of beefs, these altercations, and using social media is good for you for future business?
People are interested in me whoever I fight. Doesn't matter. I don't need any altercations like that. He needs altercations like that because no one knew who he was. But now it's great, lad, because no one even's going to know him as his name. He's always forever going to be Mr. Hand Sanitizer. Like, that's it. He got a hand sanitizer that bounced off his head when he come over on the bounce, trying to act hard. And he got terrorised. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's one of them things. But I've got to be a lot smarter with my social media, lad, because as you know, I've had 2 accounts took off me now, and the second account had 920,000 followers. I've lost out on so much money in sponsorships over the past 2 weeks. 3 weeks. Instagram, I've proper messing with my livelihood, messing with the charity work I do, messing with the mental health charities and people I speak to. I don't know if some of them people are still here to this day because I chat with them on a daily basis, and now I can't because Instagram has shut that account down. I'm a big advocate for if you make a social media account, you should have to register an ID or a credit card or something along them lines so that you can't just bully, troll and harass people, because I've had my account took off me for bullying and harassment. When it's me who gets bullied and harassed, I just defend myself. And I don't even care when people say stuff about me. Say stuff about me all you want, but not about a 3-year-old child what's fighting for his life. I can't sit there and let someone talk about that.
Totally agree, mate. And how much will Molly's performance set the tone for you? Is that something you've got to keep a close eye on, or do you have to think you need to kind of separate yourself a little bit because you know the emotions of that fight might affect you going into your fight?
No, I get tunnel vision, lad. Once that cage door shuts, you see the change in my face, you see what happens. Nothing what goes on outside of the cage can change that for me. I know it's just me and Rodrigo Vargas in there, but I know Molly's going to get the win. We don't lose when we're on the same card, lad. It just doesn't work like that.
Like, have you got a pop to George for a new dressing gown after Lenny chewed up the last one?
Oh, lad, he's a little prick, and he lad. Just chews everything. Luckily enough, I've just took that was like the, what you tie it together with. Yeah. I just took that out. But I've got about 4 dressing gowns in ours anyway. Everyone buys me them for like gifts for Christmas, so I've got 4 dressing gowns. It's when he chews the slippers, lad. That's when he gets annoying. Me Rick and Morty slippers, he needs to swerve chewing them, mate.
Cheers, man.
Paddy, you mentioned just at the back here. Yeah.
Oh, what's happening?
Hey,
yeah, couldn't see there.
You mentioned that you don't do this for money, you do it for legacy. What is your legacy with the UFC? How do you see that?
I've always said it from the time I was an amateur. I want to be the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. And that's just the way I see it. I've said that since I was 16. I don't do this sport for anything else. I do it to prove that I'm the best. And I'm going to take another step forward to doing that on Saturday night when I cave Vargas' skull in.
And you mentioned previously just there about helping people with mental health, and that's something that means a lot to you. Do you feel like your platform enables you to be able to do things like that?
Yeah, it does. Without my platform, I can't help people. You know what I mean? I always say that people with a platform like me should help people. It's nice to be nice. We've got this platform for a reason. Use it for good. Don't use it for horrible reasons. And that's why all these websites, social media websites, they need to sort the guidelines out, the community guidelines, because as I say, I've had my account disabled at 920,000 people, like followers, and that messes with all the GoFundMe pages I help for sick kids and for charities, homeless organisations and stuff. It messes with all the mental health charities that I help with, and all the people who have mental health issues that speak to me on a daily basis. The amount of messages I've had of people saying, "Oh, without you messaging me back, Paddy, I don't think I'd still be here." And like, I have the burden on my shoulders now, thinking, "What? I can't message them back today. Are they still gonna be here?" And if they're not, it's Instagram's fault, because I'd still be speaking to them every day, but I can't. And then obviously they're messing with my livelihood. I'm losing out on thousands and thousands of pounds. It's just one of them things, though, innit? They can do what they want. Mark Zuckerberg's the biggest bully on the planet.
Thank you. Good luck on Saturday.
Thank you.
Paddy at the back over here. Just to follow up on that, because we saw that you had your Instagram deleted basically for clapping back at some of the bullies. Have you ever heard back from anyone at Meta or Instagram or Facebook, whatever they're calling themselves these days, about that incident?
No, lad, they don't give a fuck. They message you back saying, "Oh, you've had your account up for bullying and harassment. You've had so many violations." Well, show me all the violations then. I want to see every violation. Bet you every violation is defending myself. And if you look at it with context, then every one of them I have a reason to do it. Like, I don't just go out my way to say stuff about people. I don't need to. Like, if someone, like on my page, the last few times I've had like reports of violations, it's been when I took a young lad to the match and people started commenting about his appearance. The lad had never been to a football match before, and his dad had just died, so I wanted to do something nice for him. So people started commenting disgusting things about him. So I had back and forth with them. And then the last one was for little baby Lee, who you're going to see on Friday, because I'm bringing him out to the weigh-in with me. He's got brain tumour, cancer. He's got all sorts of things wrong with him. And he's 3 years old. He's got no hair because of all the chemotherapy. And some absolute disgusting piece of shit commented something horrible about him. And I've got morals, you know what I mean? I'm a human, I can't just sit there. But what I did at first, because everyone at the UFC told me to, I reported the comment. And I got it with a notification back 20 minutes later. This comment does not go against our community guidelines, so we will not remove it. So then I called him a piece of shit. I said, "You dirty piece of shit, you're a piece of vermin on my shoe." And the next day my account was disabled. It's the hypocritical nature of Instagram and Facebook is just disgusting, and what they get away with. Like, it kills me. Mark Zuckerberg's a lizard.
And we heard from Alex Volkov earlier. He said he shut his social media off ahead of this fight. Are you ever tempted to do that? Just turn it off for a while to detox from it?
Yeah, of course. I've had to do that before. I've done that when I was in America for a bit and just let someone else do it. But I feel like, as I say, I like helping people. And my social media platform gives me a chance to help people. I'm not one of them where it's just all about me. I feel the need to help people, especially because of the platform I've got. And my social media does that. Like, even the way I've started streaming on Twitch, and I had a message on Twitter the other day of someone saying, "Oh, lad, I know we didn't interact on Twitch, but the fact that you even streamed tonight has put a smile on my face and made me think better." And I said to him, "Do you mind if I put that up?" I put it on my Twitter, and getting messages like that is better than getting any sort of payment. Someone saying to me, "Oh, you've just made my night there," just for me being myself and doing something like that. Like, not on a level compared to that. The warm fuzzy feeling you get inside. It's special, lad. It really is.
Thank you.
Yep, that's it.
Peace out, the fam.
sure. She said we're going to do it in a second, so. Book yourself back in. Actually, just in case. Yeah, no, so, well, that's definitely alright. This may be on stage. Arnold Allen for everyone.
You want to do a media day with a weight?
He has the same haircut anyway.
Arnold, man, a huge fight for you. I know this. You've been chasing big opportunities for a long time. To get one like this, what do you think it kind of says about where you are at your career?
It's all coming together.
Yeah, I mean, like when Dan decided to come back to 45, I know he kind of announced it ahead of time. Was that something that you had reached out about, maybe inquiring about him as an opponent, or did they just come to you with him?
Yeah, we were looking to fight, and we were getting sort of when I was getting over my injury, and so it was coming to featherweight. I kind of thought that was a fight they were going to offer, and I thought about it before they offered it. And I thought, yeah, if they do offer it, I'm happy with that because big name. I know he's not ranked at featherweight, but he does good things. So yeah.
What do you kind of expect out of him? He's saying, this is as smooth as a weight cut could go for him. He's firing on all cylinders, things like that. What you would expect him to say, obviously. But do you think he's going to lose anything moving down? Does he gain anything? What do you expect?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's going to lose some stuff coming down. It's what a weight cut does. And if you're going to do a bigger weight cut than you usually do, it's going to make bigger effects on your body. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and you win this one. I mean, 9-0 in the UFC. That's an extremely rare feat for people to get through. I know there's been, extra issues that prevented you from competing as much as you want to, things like that. But if you're able to, stay healthy through this fight, have this record, what does that kind of say where you fit in this division?
Top five talk. If I win here, definitely a big name. Maybe a main event slot. Yeah, getting that title eliminator picture. That's the plan.
Do you see anyone in the top 5 in terms of like who makes the most sense? Because I know there's things booked up right now. There's guys injured, coming off losses, etc., etc.
Yeah, I do.
You want to share?
No, focus on Dan Hooker. That's it.
Fair enough. Who do you think wins the next title fight though between Volkanovski and Zombie?
Volkanovski. I think pretty comfortable too.
And I know you're not unfamiliar to the situation you're walking into on Saturday, but I imagine there'll be some extra energy, considering how long it's been and everything. Yeah. Do you do anything to kind of physically, mentally prepare for the environment you're going to be in, or because you've done it before, it's not as difficult?
No, nothing extra. Just normal stuff. Warm up, breathe, walk out, fight.
Thanks, Aaron.
You're no stranger to London cards, Arnie. But this one feels it's very big. It's very important, and I think you're at the forefront of the fan base's consciousness as well. You've done a great job of the retweets, the sandwiches, everything like that. It's really taken your fan base to a new level. Does that change the dynamic of it when you're leading into fights like these, when there is more attention, when it's not flying under the radar, it's very much at the forefront of the card?
Nah, it changes nothing really. It just, more sponsorship opportunities, hopefully, more things like that. But fight-wise, nah, I don't feel no more pressure. There's no, the same old, it's just another fight. And yeah, that's it.
Was it beneficial for you to be training in Renegade? Obviously, Joey Herbert as well on the card from Renegade. Obviously, Leon there as well. How beneficial was that? I know it's quite a journey for you as well. We've seen the toilet pictures, of course, on the way, the shower pictures even. But how beneficial was it to make that trek and train with those guys?
Yeah, it's been great, really. They've got some, like you say, Joey Herbert, Leon Edwards, to name a few. Aiden Lee's out there. Some great bodies out there, great sparring partners, and the perfect guys I need for this camp. And been very beneficial.
Nice one, Arnie.
Hey Arnold at the bottom, how you doing, bro?
Good, mate. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm doing great, man. Do you recognize this as your big moment? I know we know how good you are, but this is inevitably going to be a massive thing for you. If you can beat Dan Hooker, you're facing the top 5, and then you're getting a title shot. Do you recognise this moment as being a huge one?
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's the one that's going to put my name out there. It's going to solidify my position. You know, it's the one.
And also, for those people who have been following you in the last few months, you've been talking a lot about truck stop showers. So I just want to say, like, you've come a long way from truck stop showers to showers at the Hilton this week. Just let us know how much better it is.
Nah, there's something about the truck stop showers. It keeps you humble, keeps you honest. And the Hilton shower, it's not quite the same. You can control the heat, you can control the pressure. The truck stop one, I've got a little button, I press it, it gives you about 10 seconds, press it again, press it again. You don't know if it's going to be hot, you don't know if it's going to be cold. Sometimes it goes really cold, sometimes it burns you, but yeah, keeps you humble.
And just a final one from me. And I really have no shame saying this in front of everyone, but Arnold, you're like the first fighter that allowed me to come out and do some content with you. We spent some time together. We sat in Tesco car park and nearly got kicked out for eating meal deals together. And you're also the first fighter who did the spicy noodle challenge with me. You're a big reason why I might even be here today. So I just want to say a massive thank you. You're a really nice guy. I feel like a lot of people don't know that about you because you're so humble. You don't talk too much, but you're really a great guy. And I absolutely cannot wait to see you fight this weekend.
Thank you, man. Happy to see you up here.
Arnold, just looking at the fight with, just here at the back, hi. Looking at the fight with Dan Hooker, when you look at his past performances in lightweight, obviously he's been up against some of the very best in that division. What do you think you can expect to see from him on Saturday?
I'm expecting to see the featherweight Dan Hooker.
How do you think that differs?
He's fought there before, you know, and he's done his best work at lightweight, and I'm pretty sure that's where his best work is going to stay.
Is there anything when you kind of watch back footage on him, is there anything that stands out to you about him? Anything that you think you need to look out for?
He's really tall.
Okay. How do you see your hand being raised on Saturday then?
Me just sort of, being less tall and using that height advantage, disadvantage to my advantage.
All right, thank you. Good luck.
Arnold, you speaking about the height difference. Has your nan come to terms with the height difference yet, or is she still concerned about the height difference?
No, she's digging deeper. She asked me where he's from, and I said New Zealand. She's like, well, he's not Maori, is he? I hope not, man. She's like, oh, okay. But yeah, so she's looking for other avenues now.
How difficult is that when you've got family members that are clearly concerned? They may not know the sport, like a lot of other people know the sport, and is it quite annoying when you've got like family members that clearly care for you, they love you, but they're expressing concerns that you maybe don't need in your head before a big fight?
Nah, to be honest, I find it funny. It's when she calls me and I tell my nan she goes down the pub, right? My nan likes a beer. She goes down the pub and I'll get, like, they're not even fans of mine, but she's told people in the pub that her grandson's in the UFC. And they're like, oh, that's cool. And the next thing, they're FaceTiming me. I'm like, who the hell is this? And it's my nan in the pub with some random guy, like, going, there he is. I'm just like, you know what, mate? Like, Jesus. They'll send a text like, oh, I'm here with your nan. Like, can you answer? Like, yeah, all right. That's a bit weird, but yeah, it happens quite often. But nah, it's fun. It's fun.
And have you bumped into Dan at all? Because you both seem like, I said this to you the other day, you both such lovely blokes. You seem like you would be mates if you were living closer in another life or something. Have you bumped into him at all in the hotel or anything?
Yeah, we had a sit-down chat, but it hasn't been posted yet, so
oh, really?
It's a little bit awkward, to be fair, but nah, it's all right.
Fair enough. Thanks, man.
Arnold right here. Last week, Michael Bisping gave an interview, and he was asked what fighters from this generation of UK fighters were most likely to become champions, and he pointed to you and Tom Aspinall as like the ones most likely, because you're close and he doesn't see many people beating you on your way up. So what's it like when you hear someone that basically just laid the groundwork for this UK MMA scene giving you such high praise?
Yeah, I didn't know that, but yeah, that's huge. Like someone like Bisping, every UK fighter growing up, I'm assuming, watched him, and if there's anyone with an inspirational career, it's him. So if he's saying good things about me, that means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, when he said, "Oh, my dad did steroids." Yeah, I don't do steroids. Yeah, like what?
He said, "Jai's not coming if you're here." Huh? He said, "I'm not coming if you're here."
I'm surprised it lasted this long.
Yeah.
I'm surprised the people just stand up mid-press conference. It's funny, I actually came out with them with the UK players.
I'm sure you get shots.
Shot position there, so often we jostle for position. If you want, hit the gun, play for the whole thing if you want.
Learning, yeah.
What's your publication do to Paddy that makes you hate?
No, it was a reporting of the tragedy of the football match.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I was literally, I think, 3 days. Oh really? I was like 3 days off. Yeah. But yeah, man. It's horrendous.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's completely justified. Yeah, I don't think he knew that the message had been relayed. And again, I would. Yeah. I think I wouldn't even put them in that situation anyway. Because all it takes is just one person to be like, "Oh, I recognise his voice. He's from the sun. You spoke to the sun." It is what it is.
I know you're right.
That's all the validation.
No, but I feel when you said you only knew this guy. Right, I didn't ask about the Jordan tweet. As soon as I got up, when Mike asked all the questions, I was like, well, that's not one. You know, like, you covered that. And then just see stand up. Because I think it was a question.
Yeah, no, it is.
Because he said anything that they just quite terrorized.
Yeah.
That day, Dave asked me what it is a bad mistake.
Okay. How's this shot?
He did understand. Yeah. Of course. And I think I truly think he did. To be honest.
Yeah.
I don't think
you got wrist. You got wrist.
You're just gonna knock it off. I definitely did when you up. I just don't know shit, but I think it was
Yeah, you want Harry's opinion?
Maybe.
Exactly. I'd rather ceiling than no head. Yeah. No, go for it. And hold it if you want. And hold it if you want. Huh? It's not the whole thing.
Yo, yo.
Joey, how do you feel about the old opponent change here? Ilya, obviously, very well known opponent now. Mike Davis originally. How do you feel about that?
Same old, innit? They're all good in the UFC, so I just got to be prepared for anyone, you know what I mean? Whatever, innit? Let's get going.
You obviously train in Renegade. We're just speaking to Arnold Allen. He spent a lot of time out there. Were you guys using each other's bodies a lot? Like, maybe did you just train a lot together in the lead up to this one?
Yeah, I trained a lot with Arnold to come to this fight. Obviously, he's a southpaw, innit? So we did a few sparring rounds, but not like loads, obviously. But for the grappling, the wrestling, I did a lot of work with Arnold. You know, I've seen him in the gym. He's looking like terrific, man. He's looking fantastic, and yeah, man, it's just good to have him down there. You know, there's like loads of athletes down there. You know yourself, Leon, Fabian, Tom, Aiden, Tim Wild. You know, it's just full of talent. You know what I mean? So it's good to have Arnold in the mix as well.
How good did that last win feel, right? Because I really feel as though you got one of the roughest entries to the UFC I've seen. You know, like Trinaldo was a horrific fight for anyone on his best day, and then McCann straight after that.
Mm-hmm.
How did it feel to get that first UFC win? It must have been a huge milestone for you.
Yeah, man. You know what? It was a tough. It's tough at the top, innit? It was a tough debut and a tough second fight and that. But you know what? I'm glad the way it went the way it did. To be honest, I'm glad I had them tough fights and I actually got straight in the UFC and actually like went with the guys. Like, you know, this is what it's all about. So it made me like improve as a fighter very rapidly. You know what I mean? Gave me like my character, like character building really. You know what I mean? And then when I got that win, eventually over Karma, you know, it was just relief more than anything. I weren't really like, oh, you know, emotional. I don't know. I just felt like relief and felt like, you know, I'm finally here. It's finally like time for people to see what I can do.
I could see why the Davis fight would appeal to you as a striker. He's been some fantastic striking bouts over the years. But do you like the fact that the public are perceiving this as nearly a tougher test? We've just been talking about you having tough challenges. Like, do you like that?
Yeah, I think like the Davis fight would have been, you know, would have been a good, like really good stand-up battle. You know, well, I'd have been prepared for the wrestling as well because I know he can wrestle. And with this Ilya fight, you know, he's got good, decent boxing. He's very good on the ground. You know what I mean? His jiu-jitsu and that. So you know, it's a tough test. They're all tough tests. No, you know what I mean? I'm here. That's what I'm here for. That's what I started this sport for, to test myself. So you know, I'm prepared, and they just need to prepare for me as well. God, trust me, it's going down.
Finally, I have I see you with Leon today, and I think you guys are very similar characters as well. Like, I mean, you're not the most brash guys on social media, but you're completely devoted to what you do. Obviously, Leon's approaching that title fight now. How much of an inspiration is he for you throughout your career? I know you work very closely with him.
Oh, it's fantastic, man, to see someone like come from Birmingham, someone from the hood, you know, from the ends, like myself from Wolverhampton, like, you know, from the council estates, from the ends, you know what I mean, just coming up and like fighting for a UFC title. It's inspirational, you know. We're all inspired down the gym. It's like it's phenomenal what he's achieved, and like when he gets that belt and brings it back to the gym, it's gonna be even like more like inspirational for everyone, you know what I mean. So fair play to him, man. He's doing bits, man.
Nice one, Joey.
What did you make of when you heard your opponent kind of getting into it with Paddy on fight week, getting stuff thrown at him?
I don't business, man. Let them waste their energy doing whatever fuckery they're doing. You get me? I'm doing my thing. Yeah, I'm out here just chilling. Last night I'm chilling, playing chess, drinking a cup of tea. You know what I mean? Slippers on and that. They can waste their energy doing what they want to do. I'm just out here chilling, me ready for Saturday.
And we've heard from other fighters that have fought Georgian fighters that their social medias just blow up with just all kinds of hate from Georgians. Has that been the case for you too?
Say that. Repeat that again. Sorry.
A lot of fighters that fight fighters from Georgia, a lot of Georgians will then start DMing their opponents like all of this hate. You getting that too?
I might have done it, but like I say, I'm not stupid, so I don't go through all my requests and I don't go through all the comments. You know, I don't let no one mess with my energy because I feel like when you start reading the comments, you think like, who's this geezer commenting? Look, what does he know about anything about fighting or anything? And you can start getting yourself wound up. So what I do is I just don't bother reading these comments or going through like message requests and seeing like all these messages or these story tags and that. So it doesn't mess with my energy, you know what I mean? And I think that's what other fighters should do, really. You know, getting involved in all that stuff.
And what do you make of his actual skill set inside the octagon? He has a lot of submission wins, but lately he's been putting people away with his power.
Yeah, you know, obviously he's got a very good submission skills, you know. His ground game is very good. And he started to, you know, I see using his boxing, which he's got decent boxing, you know what I mean? So I'm excited to fight, you know. I expect him to come out, try and trade, and then shoot for a double leg. But you never know. He could come out and start doing some spinning heel kicks and everything. So he's got to be prepared for everything. But yeah, it's a exciting fight.
And Paul Craig has said that when you're undefeated in the UFC, you haven't faced adversity, it can be kind of dangerous because you've not had to build yourself back up coming off of a loss. Is that, how accurate is that? And do you think that could play into your favor against Ilya because he hasn't really faced adversity inside the octagon?
I'm not sure. It's whatever. But like I think my run in the UFC compared to his, or my opponents compared to his, like it's very different. My experience with my opponents, the level of my opponents is very different. So we'll see what he brings us Saturday night. But I know what I'm bringing. You know what I mean? Black country business.
Jai, I know, Jai down here. You know what I mean? It's good to see you, man. I know you were excited about the Mike Davis matchup in particular because of the style, but do you think that the change is almost kind of a blessing in disguise because Topuria has a bigger name and then it could help you with your progression in the division? I know he's a newcomer to the lightweight division, but because he has a bigger name, do you think that will overall help your progression?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, he has got a bigger name, I suppose, and he has a big following. So me getting the win over him put me up in give me a bigger achievement, I suppose. I can start getting a bigger following myself and stuff from that. So you could say I think everything happens for a reason. I just trust in the process, and all I can control is what I do Saturday night and what my performance. So that's all I'm concerned with.
Cheers, man.
Hey, Jai. What go on, bro?
Oh, go on, brother. How you saying?
I'm good, man. What are you saying?
I'm blessed, man. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Just a quick one from me. What can we expect from the Black Country Banger on the weekend?
We can expect from me coming out there and throwing hands. Nah, you never know. I might shoot a double leg or something. You never know. I'm going to surprise you Saturday night. Trust me.
I noticed you've not got cocoa melon in your hand today, so no more Mama Shark dude.
Listen, I'm figuring out. I've got a week away from my son, so I'll be able to sleep properly. You know what I mean? But now I'll miss him fight week. You know what I mean? He always brightens up my day. But at least I'll be able to chill out, watch some normal television instead of Cocoa Melon, Paw Patrol. I don't know, but Peppa Pig and all them things there. So at least I can watch some proper telly and have some good sleep. But yeah, I'll miss him.
Have a great one on Saturday. Thank you.
Thanks, brother.
Giant.
So you right, mate?
Hello, man. What's the difference mentally preparing for this fight compared to your last fight? Obviously, there was so much on the line with your last fight. It felt like you were kind of fighting for your UFC career in a way. Is this camp been a much calmer or happier place for you because maybe there's a little bit of that pressure off?
I think every fight's a title fight, innit? That's how you got to approach it in the UFC. Every fight's a title fight, man, because they're all like top level athletes. Yeah, obviously the last fight, it was like do or die, I think, and I still believe this one is as well. Look, I'm 1-2 in the UFC, so I still need to continue winning. You know what I mean, to prove my place in the UFC, and get other contracts and better contracts. Build up my fan base, my following. So there's different pressures. You know what I mean. But I come here now and I'm relaxed, I'm chilling, and I'm just ready to perform. In front of the fans, which I've never done before in the UFC. So I'm really excited.
Brilliant, mate. Best of luck Saturday.
Thank you, brother. Sweet, everyone, yeah? Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think I just have to have the build.
No. It's gonna be either one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, Haley. Take a stand. Take a stand on the stage.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Everybody's mom.
Yeah, you are.
Terrible choice.
Yeah, God.
Okay.
Or you can sign up at the gym. Oh, look at Mr. Vantage point here.
Need a strong man to hold me down. The Brits holding up the Irish for you. That hurts. I know it does. The thing's so inferior to all these. These have like 17 different communications.
I'll trade you.
Why would that happen?
The big boss man doing this shit.
Okay.
You ready? You ready to jump in? Okay, put a couple more. Okay, so that's yours. Gotta do it again. See you in a bit.
This camera sucks for him.
It's not awkward looking at someone's eyes. Not gonna lie.
Thank you guys.